You are listening to Kicking My Mate, a Love Story, written by Deanne Leo, narrated by Jessica Lee. She kicked a billionaire alpha twice. The first time? Accident, reflex, dark hallway, wrong place, overpriced coffee everywhere. The second time, she almost pulled a weapon on him in a corporate meeting. Here's the problem. Lucan Silvercrest is her fated mate, the man her wolf has been screaming for. The man she's been protecting from the shadows for 5 years while slowly dying from an unclaimed bond. Oh, and she's living under a fake name, hiding from the woman who killed her mother, raising her 5-year-old sister alone, and taking suppressants that are literally killing her. Also, there's a guinea pig with a PhD. He has opinions, many opinions, mostly about everyone's terrible life choices. This is a story about a woman who thinks dying for love is noble, a man who doesn't know he's being saved, and a rodent with a psychology degree who's about to intervene in the messiest way possible. Buckle up. This is going to be chaotic. This is an original story, written exclusively for the audience of this channel. The only way to support this channel is to like, share, and comment below. Your engagement will help this warm-hearted shifter romance with lots of heart and laughter keep coming. Want your story idea featured next? Comment below. Deanne Leo reads every comment you write. Also, as requested by many of you, yes, there is a laugh-worthy bonus chapter for you. It's Clipboard's official PhD dissertation, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Link in the description and pinned in the first comment below. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1. The back entrance to Silvercrest Industries smelled like dumpster juice and failed ambitions. Exactly why Ray preferred it. No cameras angled this way. No security guards who'd remember her face. Just a rusty door that opened with the right amount of pressure on the third hinge. She slipped inside, boots silent on concrete. "Your cortisol levels are catastrophic," Clipboard announced from her jacket pocket. "I'm clocking you at DEFCON level stress, and we haven't even entered the building proper." Ray kept walking, following the service corridor she'd memorized from blueprints. "We're in the building. The inhabitable building. This is basically a hallway with delusions of grandeur." The guinea pig shifted in her pocket, his whiskers tickling her ribs through the fabric. "Also, I need to discuss your fashion choices. These cargo pants have 17 pockets." 17. That's not preparedness, that's pocket hoarding. "They're tactical," Ray said. "They're a cry for help, and don't get me started on the lack of makeup." "A little concealer wouldn't kill you." "It might." Ray turned the corner toward the stairwell. "Makeup has scent. Scent creates memory. Memory gets you killed." Yes, because clearly we're going for forgettable municipal employee chic." Clipboard's head popped out of the pocket, his dark eyes judgmental. "Speaking of which, I need a new name." "Clipboard sounds unprofessional." Ray pushed through the stairwell door. "Then stop writing on invisible clipboards when you're trying to look professional." "I'm not trying. I have a PhD in clinical psychology." Observation isn't the same as doing. Ray started climbing, taking stairs 2 at a time. Her thighs burned. 5 years of suppressants had stolen her shifter strength, left her with human endurance that had to be earned through pain. "I can't watch sports on TV and call myself athletic." "False equivalency," Clipboard said. "I studied, I practiced, on mice, admittedly, but the principles are sound. I also helped Dr. Chen with her dissertation, the previous tenant in your apartment, remember? She wouldn't have passed without my input on her regression analysis." "You chewed through her notes." "I improved them through selective editing," he sniffed. The woman was verbose. Ray hit the landing for the 3rd floor, paused to check her watch. 12 minutes until the interview. Lucan would already be in the conference room. He was always early, another pattern she'd cataloged over 5 years of watching from shadows. 5 years of knowing exactly how he took his coffee. How he ran his left hand through his hair when frustrated. How his ice blue eyes could freeze a boardroom into compliance with a single look. 5 years of dying slowly from an unrequited mate bond she could never, ever claim. I'll think about a new name, she told Clipboard, because the guinea pig was giving her his therapeutic silence, the one that meant he'd diagnosed her avoidance behavior and was waiting for her to acknowledge it. But for now, you're Clip. Like I've called you for 3 years. 5 years total if we're counting from when I moved in uninvited, Clip corrected. But fine, I'll table the discussion for post-interview processing. He disappeared back into her pocket. Try not to assault anyone before we get there. Your fight-or-flight response is trigger-happy today. Ray didn't answer. She was too busy controlling her breathing, forcing her wolf down, down, down where the suppressants could keep it caged. The third-floor hallway stretched ahead. Executive territory, all polished marble and recessed lighting that cost more than her annual salary. She'd mapped every inch of this building, knew which corners had blind spots, which offices stayed occupied past midnight, which executives were paranormal, and which were human. Lucan's office was at the end. She'd never been inside. That was Paul's domain, her boss who handled the visible security while she worked the shadows. But she'd stood outside that door more times than she could count, monitoring threats, intercepting problems before they reached him, protecting him. Always protecting him. Movement flickered in her peripheral vision. Wrong angle, wrong speed, wrong everything. Her body reacted before her brain finished processing. She pivoted, weight shifting, legs sweeping up and out in a kick that would drop a full-grown shifter. Her boot connected with something solid. Coffee exploded everywhere. Dark liquid arcing through expensive air, droplets catching light like shrapnel. The shadow hit the marble floor with a grunt, sliding 3 feet before stopping in a puddle of premium roast. Ray's brain caught up to her instincts. No. The man on the floor, pushed up on his elbows, coffee dripping from his hair, his suit, his absolutely furious expression. Lucan Silvercrest, her mate. The man she'd protected for 5 years without ever getting closer than 50 feet. And she'd just kicked him onto his ass. His scent hit her. Winter wind and rain. The scent made her wolf claw at the suppressants, screaming, mine, mine, mine. She'd always stayed downwind, always kept distance and barriers and careful positioning between them. Now he was 3 feet away, soaked in coffee. Ice blue eyes locked on her face. The mate bond, dormant and dying for 5 years, roared to life. Her suppressants slammed down like a cage door, chemical warfare against her own biology. Pain spiked through her skull, migraine building, vision blurring at the edges. She tried to speak, tried to apologize, explain something. Nothing came out. 5 years of a vow of silence, 5 years of hiding, 5 years of training herself not to engage. It all crashed down at once. Her throat locked. Her tongue forgot how to form words. Lucan stood slowly, coffee streaming off his Tom Ford suit. Are you? He stopped, head tilting. His nostrils flared slightly. Do I know you? No, I mean yes, name should on CV. CV? You're Ray Winters? Yes. He waited, but nothing else came from her. Now is the part people typically say, sorry, I kicked you for no reason. Reflex. Do you have this reflex often? Sorry. As security at the top level, you'd have to brief me and the board a lot about security situations. That would require more than 1 word at a time. She nodded. Her head was pounding as if the migraine was going to eat her brain for brunch. Very sorry. I'm diagnosing you both with acute spatial awareness failure, Clipboard announced, climbing out of her pocket with all the authority of a college professor. He sat on her shoulder, paws primly together. You, he pointed at Lucan with one tiny paw, were walking while caffeinated, a known risk factor for corridor collision, and you, he swiveled to glare at Ray, have the threat assessment protocols of a paranoid badger. This was preventable. Lucan stared at the guinea pig, then at Ray, then back at the guinea pig. Did that guinea pig? Yes. Talk? Also yes. Clipboard's whiskers twitched. I'm her emotional support animal. Licensed and everything. Well, the paperwork is pending, but that's really more of a formality. Clip, Ray managed, voice hoarse. Right, yes, the current crisis. Clipboard turned back to Lucan. You're Lucan Silvercrest, CEO, alpha of the Silvercrest pack, net worth somewhere in the ridiculous zone. She's Ray Winters, here for the security position interview. You're both soaking wet with overpriced coffee, and standing in a puddle is unprofessional. I suggest relocating. Lucan looked down at himself. $1,200 suit ruined. Back up at Ray, who still hadn't managed more than one word. You kicked me. Tactical assessment, Clipboard said. She perceived a threat and neutralized it. Textbook. Bit aggressive, perhaps, but her file notes exceptional reflexes. You should see what she did to the 3 guys who tried to mug us last month. Very educational. I'm using it as a case study. I'm so sorry, Ray forced out. The words felt like glass. I thought... You thought I was a threat. Lucan's expression shifted, something analytical sliding into place behind the shock. In my own building. Back entrance, Ray said. Service corridor, no identification, low light. She stopped, because explaining would require admitting she knew his schedule, his patterns, his routes through the building. Would require admitting she'd been watching him. She's very thorough, Clipboard supplied. Bordering on obsessive, clinically speaking. I've been trying to get her to work on that, but she's resistant to therapy. Claims she doesn't have time for feelings. I told her feelings don't care about her schedule. Clip. Ray's fingers found her temples, pressing against the building pressure. The migraine was getting worse. Mate bond and suppressants at war inside her skull. Lucan was still staring at her. Not angry anymore. Something else. Something that made his wolf visible behind his eyes. Silver flickering in ice blue. Have we met before? No, Ray said. Lucan's head tilted. You're sure? She's sure, Clipboard said. She has an excellent memory. Photographic, actually. Bit of a problem, that. She remembers every mistake she's ever made and obsesses over them at 3 a.m. Very unhealthy. I've recommended cognitive behavioral therapy, but the interview, Ray interrupted. Her vision was starting to blur. She needed to get through this, get the job, get close enough to protect him from whatever threat was coming. Then she could collapse somewhere private. I'm here for the interview. Lucan looked at his watch, waterproof, because of course it was, which starts in 7 minutes. He looked back at her. You're early. Punctuality indicates respect for others' time, Clipboard said. I taught her that. Well, I mentioned it repeatedly until she internalized it. Same thing. Right. Lucan ran his hand through his coffee-soaked hair, the gesture Ray had seen 1,000 times through windows, on security feeds from careful distances. Up close, it made her chest ache. The interview. With the woman who just kicked me into a puddle. To be fair, Clipboard said, you were a suspicious shadow in a restricted corridor. She's had extensive training in threat neutralization. You're lucky she didn't go for the throat. That's usually her opening move. Ray closed her eyes briefly. Clip, please. What? I'm establishing context. Very important for accurate assessment. The guinea pig turned back to Lucan. Also, she feels terrible. Look at her cortisol levels. They're through the roof. And that's on top of the baseline anxiety, the chronic stress, and what I suspect is a severely repressed emotional crisis she refuses to address. But you know, baby steps. Lucan's lips twitched, almost a smile. Does he always talk this much? Yes, Ray said. I apologize for... She gestured vaguely at the coffee, the puddle, the entire disaster. All of this. You have good instincts, Lucan said. He stepped out of the puddle. Fast reflexes, questionable target identification, but the execution was flawless. Ray blinked. You're not angry. I'm annoyed. There's a difference. He started walking toward the executive wing, leaving wet footprints on marble. Come on, I need to change, and you need to explain why my head of security's best operative just assaulted me. She didn't assault you, Clipboard protested, clinging to Ray's shoulder as she followed. Assault implies intent to harm. This was reflexive defense. Completely different legal category. You're a lawyer now? Lucan asked without turning around. I have broad interdisciplinary knowledge. The PhD program was very comprehensive. You watch someone's PhD program through a balcony, Ray muttered. Observation is learning. We've been through this. They reached Lucan's office, double doors, frosted glass, the kind of entrance that said power without being obvious about it. He pushed through and Ray's feet stopped at the threshold. She'd never been inside. 5 years of protecting him, and she'd never crossed this line. Winters? Lucan looked back at her. You coming? Clipboard leaned close to her ear. Your heart rate just spiked. Fascinating. Are we having a panic attack or is this something else? Ray stepped inside. The office was exactly what she'd imagined. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, minimalist furniture that cost more than cars, everything in shades of gray and chrome. Lucan's scent saturated the space, thick enough to choke on. The suppressants in her system screamed. The migraine built like a wave. Wait here. Lucan disappeared through a side door, probably a private bathroom, because of course he had one. I'll be 3 minutes. The door closed. Ray stood in the middle of Lucan Silvercrest's office, mate Bond clawing at her insides, and tried to remember how to breathe. So, Clipboard said conversationally, on a scale of 1 to 10, how badly are we spiraling? 18, Ray whispered. That's not even on the scale. I know. The bathroom door opened. Lucan emerged in a fresh suit. Charcoal gray, perfectly tailored, like he kept spares in the office because coffee emergencies were routine. Probably were, knowing his schedule. Let's go. He grabbed a tablet from his desk. Conference room's on 5. I know, Ray said, then froze. Lucan stopped, turned. You know? Building directory, Clipboard said smoothly. She studied it. Very thorough, our Ray. Memorized every floor, every exit, every fire escape. Bit obsessive, but in a preparedness way, not a stalker way. Important distinction. Right. Lucan's eyes narrowed slightly. Prepared. They took the elevator. Awkward silence filled with the ghost of coffee and the weight of things unsaid. Clipboard hummed something clinical, probably a therapeutic technique for diffusing tension. The conference room was glass and chrome, a massive table that could seat 20. 4 people were already there. Human resources, head of operations, head of current security team, and Adam, Lucan's beta. Adam's eyebrows rose when he saw them. Coffee incident? She kicked me, Lucan said, taking his seat at the head of the table. On purpose? Reflex. Adam's lips twitched. I like her already. Ray took the single chair facing the panel, clipboard settling on the table in front of her like the world's smallest lawyer. Ms. Winters, the HR director began, shuffling papers. Thank you for… Is that a guinea pig? Emotional support animal, Clipboard said. Licensed, pending, mostly legitimate. The HR director looked at Lucan. Lucan shrugged. Apparently. Right. The director cleared her throat. Your resume is impressive. 5 years with Chen Security, specializing in… She squinted at the paper. Threat assessment and neutralization. Can you elaborate? I identify potential threats and eliminate them before they become actual threats, Ray said. I've handled clients from various incidents ranging from corporate espionage to actual assassination attempts. My success rate is 100%. Lucan leaned forward, elbows on the table. Why do you want to work here specifically? Challenging environment, Ray said. High-profile client, opportunity for growth. Generic answer, Lucan observed. True answer, Ray countered. His ice-blue eyes held hers. Something flickered in them. Silver, wolf, recognition that wasn't quite recognition. The migraine spiked. Ray's vision blurred at the edges, the conference room tilting sideways. She pressed her fingers to her temples, desperate pressure against the pain building behind her eyes. Not now, not here, not in front of him. Ms. Winters? The operations head leaned forward. Are you all right? Fine, Ray ground out, then stood, legs shaky. I need air. Ms. Winters, the HR director started. I'm sorry. Ray moved toward the door, each step measured, controlled. I'll reschedule. I'm sorry. She made it to the hallway, the elevator, pressed the button for ground floor with trembling fingers. The doors slid closed on Lucan's face. Confused, concerned, and something else she couldn't read through the pain splitting her skull. Chapter 2. Lucan stared at the wall. Not the window with its million-dollar view of the city. Not his dual monitors displaying quarterly reports that needed review. Not the contract sitting on his desk unsigned, representing a merger that would expand Silvercrest Industries into 3 new markets. Just the wall, smooth, gray, completely unremarkable. His coffee had gone cold an hour ago. Maybe 2. Time felt slippery, like his brain had forgotten how to process it properly. Jameen. He'd caught it for half a second when the coffee hit the floor, when her scent spiked with adrenaline. That's what she'd smelled like, under the suppressants, under the chemicals meant to hide a true nature. Is she human? Shifter? Which kind? His wolf had recognized something, was still pacing, restless, clawing at his control like it wanted. The door opened without a knock. "You've been staring at that wall for 20 minutes, Adam said, dropping into the chair across from Lucan's desk. His beta looked annoyingly alert for 10 a.m., hair perfectly styled, suit crisp. "Should I be concerned?" Lucan blinked, dragged his attention to Adam. "I'm thinking." "About the wall? Is it particularly philosophical today?" Adam leaned back, one ankle crossing over his knee. "Or are we thinking about the woman who kicked you into a puddle of overpriced coffee? She has good instincts." Lucan picked up his pen, set it down. Fast reflexes, perceived a threat and neutralized it in under a second. Adam's expression said he wasn't buying it. "And the part where you can't focus on anything except thinking about her good instincts?" Lucan's jaw tightened. "There's something about her." "Besides the assault?" "It wasn't—" Lucan stopped, ran his hand through his hair. Her scent was wrong. Adam's posture shifted, casual to alert in a heartbeat. Wrong how? Muted, flat, like it was buried under something. Lucan stood, paced to the window. The city sprawled below, oblivious to the fact that his wolf was losing its mind over a woman who'd barely spoken 10 words directly to him. "You think she's on suppressants?" "Paul's people are thorough. If she needed to hide what she is, he'd help her do it." Adam pulled out his phone, fingers moving across the screen. "You want me to dig into her background?" "Yes." Lucan turned from the window. Quietly. "I'm always quiet." Adam's thumb paused mid-scroll. "But you know what this means, right?" Lucan waited. "If she's human, you can't take it past a date or 2. Adam's voice was careful, the tone he used when delivering bad news to board members. "The pack needs you stable. The board's already pushing for you to choose a mate. A real mate. Someone who can help you stay in control longer." The words landed like stones in Lucan's chest. "I know." "Do you?" Adam stood, pocketed his phone. "Because your wolf is acting like it's found something, and if that something is human, you're setting yourself up for—" "I said I know." Lucan's alpha command bled through just a touch, enough to make Adam's wolf acknowledge it. "I'm not choosing a mate because the board's impatient." Adam raised his hands, palms out. "Fair enough. Your love life, your terrible decisions." He headed for the door, paused with his hand on the handle. "I'll have her background by end of day." The door closed. Lucan stood alone in his office, his wolf snarling at the empty space where Ray Winters had stood 3 hours ago. He grabbed his phone, pulled up Paul Chen's number. The call connected after 2 rings. "Lucan?" Paul's voice was neutral, professional. "Didn't expect to hear from you so soon." "Tell me about Ray Winters." Lucan sat on the edge of his desk, phone pressed to his ear. Silence stretched for 3 seconds. Then, "What do you want to know?" "Everything." "That's not how this works." Paul's tone shifted, protective. "She's my best operative. That's all you need." "It's not all I need." Lucan's fingers tightened on the phone. "She walked out of the interview. I need to know if she's reliable." She's the most reliable person I have. Paul's chair creaked. He was leaning back, probably debating how much to say. But if you want details, you'll have to ask her yourself. She barely spoke. Then maybe you should try harder. Paul's voice held a hint of amusement. You're an alpha, Lucan. Figure it out. How am I supposed to do that when she won't stay in the same room? That's your problem to solve, Alpha. The line went dead. Lucan stared at his phone. Helpful, he muttered to the empty office. His door opened again, Adam holding a tablet, looking far too pleased with himself. That was fast, even for me. You found something? I found nothing, which is something. Adam handed over the tablet. Ray Winters, age 30. Employment history goes back 5 years, all with Chen Security. Before that, he made a 0 with his fingers. Blank. No previous employment, no education records, no digital footprint. It's like she didn't exist before 5 years ago. Lucan scrolled through the report. Adam was right. It was professionally done, legitimate looking, but surface level. The kind of background that held up to casual scrutiny, but fell apart under real investigation. Witness protection? That'd be my guess. Paul has the connections. Adam perched on the corner of the desk. Question is, what's she hiding from? Or who? Lucan closed the file, handed back the tablet. Address? Adam's eyebrows rose. You're going to her apartment? I need answers. You need therapy, Adam muttered, pulling up another screen. She's in the Riverside complex, 4th floor, Unit 4B. He looked up, grinning. Want me to come? Provide moral support? Make sure you don't get kicked again? I'll manage. Your funeral. Adam headed for the door, paused. Hey, Lucan, if she kicks you this time, at least try to dodge. The dry cleaning bills are getting ridiculous. The door closed on Adam's laughter. Lucan stood in the floral section of an overpriced grocery store, holding a bouquet of roses like they might explode. This was stupid. He'd dated before, plenty of times. Sophisticated women who knew the rules, who understood that billionaire alphas didn't do serious unless the pack demanded it. Dinner, maybe a weekend away, always pleasant, never complicated. So why was his heart hammering like he was 17 and asking someone to prom? He looked at the roses. Red felt too aggressive. Pink too soft. Yellow meant friendship, which wasn't. This is ridiculous, he told the roses. A woman pushing a cart gave him a wide berth. Lucan put the roses back, grabbed sunflowers instead. Cheerful, casual. The kind of thing you brought when you were just checking on an employee who'd fled an interview due to. Actually, he had no idea why she'd fled. Medical issue? Panic attack? Allergy to corporate environments? He was going to find out. Lucan paid for the flowers, walked to his car, drove 3 blocks before pulling over and throwing the sunflowers in a trash can. Get it together, he told his reflection in the rearview mirror. His wolf whined, restless. Not helping, Lucan said, and pulled back into traffic. The Riverside apartment complex was exactly what the name promised. Mid-range, clean, the kind of place where people lived quietly and didn't ask neighbors questions. Lucan parked in visitor parking, took the stairs to the 4th floor because nervous energy needed somewhere to go. Unit 4B sat at the end of the hallway. He knocked before he could overthink it. Footsteps approached. Light, careful. A pause. She was checking the peephole. The door opened 6 inches, chain lock engaged. Ray Winters looked exactly the same as this morning. Pale, tired eyes, hair pulled back in that same tight bun that looked like it hurt. She wore civilian clothes now, worn jeans, oversized sweater, bare feet. Something in him wanted to fix it. The tiredness, the pallor, the way she held herself like she expected the world to hit her and was just waiting to see which direction it would come from. He'd never felt protective like this before, not over someone he barely knew. Someone who'd kicked him, fled from him, wouldn't even let him past her doorway. Mr. Silvercrest. Her voice was quiet, controlled. How did you get my address? I'm persistent. Lucan kept his hands visible, non-threatening. We need to talk. About what? The job, the interview, why you left? He paused. why you can barely look at me." Her eyes flicked up to his face, then away. "I apologize for this morning. It won't happen again." "Because you're not taking the job?" "Because I shouldn't have applied." "Paul says you're his best." Lucan shifted his weight, trying to see past her into the apartment. Empty. Quiet. No signs of life beyond the basics. "He wouldn't send you if you couldn't handle it." "Paul's optimistic." Her fingers tightened on the doorframe. "I'm not what you need." "You don't know what I need." Her jaw tightened. She started to close the door. 2 weeks, Lucan said quickly. "Give it 2 weeks. If you hate it, you can quit. No questions asked." "I don't." "You identified a threat in under a second this morning. You have instincts I've never seen outside military training. You memorized my building's layout before you ever set foot inside." He held her gaze, watching the surprise flicker across her face. "You're exactly what I need. You just don't want to be." She was quiet for a long moment. Something shifted in her expression. Calculation, maybe. Or resignation. 2 weeks, she said finally. "Then I'm gone." "Fair enough." Lucan stepped back, giving her space. "Start Monday, 7 a.m. "I know what time you arrive." She caught herself. "I mean, building security protocols, I reviewed them." "Right, protocols." Lucan's wolf was doing something complicated in his chest, something that felt like satisfaction and hunger and want all tangled together. "Get some rest, Winters. You look like you need it." Her expression shuddered. "Goodbye, Mr. Silvercrest." The door closed. The chain lock slid into place. Lucan stood in the hallway, staring at 4B, wondering why walking away felt like the hardest thing he'd done all year. His phone buzzed. "Adam, did you get kicked again?" Lucan typed back. She took the job. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "You're going to regret this." Lucan pocketed his phone, started toward the stairs. Another buzz. BTW. "Vivian Cross tomorrow, 10 a.m. Hope you did all the homework." Woman's lethal. Lucan stopped, pulled the phone back out. "You don't like her. Why?" The response came immediately. "I don't care about her. I like her money. You're the one who has to sign the deal. I'll just enjoy better corporate resources." Lucan stared at the screen, then at Unit 4B. His wolf was settled for the first time in hours, purring in contentment like it had won something. Tomorrow he'd deal with Vivian Cross and her lethal corporate negotiations. Tonight he'd just accept that Ray Winters had somehow become the most important problem he needed to solve, even if he had no idea why. Chapter 3. The knock came at 6 a.m. sharp. Paul's timing never varied. Punctual to the second, like his military training had hardwired precision into his DNA. Ray opened the door, already dressed in her new uniform, black tactical pants, only 12 pockets this time, a compromise, fitted jacket that hid her weapons, boots that could run or fight depending on what the day demanded. Paul stood in the hallway, coffee thermos in one hand, car keys in the other. "Ready?" "Almost." Ray stepped aside, let him in. "Lily's still getting dressed." "Lucy's making pancakes." Paul moved to the kitchen, set his thermos down. "The other kids will be bundled in the car. Lucky they all go to the same school." Lily emerged from her bedroom, backpack trailing from one hand, hair sticking up at odd angles. She rubbed her eyes, yawning. "Can I get Miss Lucy's leftover pancakes?" Paul crouched to her level, smoothed her hair with surprising gentleness for a man who could break bones without blinking. "There's never leftover pancakes at our house. Lucy will make you real ones, fresh." "Can I save some for Ray after school?" Lily looked between them, worry creasing her small forehead. "Of course." Paul stood, glanced at Ray. "Though Ray will be back to taking you to school in 2 weeks. Like normal." "Why is this happening?" Lily's voice got smaller. "Did I do something wrong?" Ray knelt, pulled Lily close. "New client, 2-week busy period, that's all. I'm sorry I make you worry." Lily's arms tightened around Ray's neck. "I wish I could take care of myself more. Then you wouldn't have to work so hard." Ray's chest cracked open. "You don't make me worry, sweetheart. You make everything worth it." Paul cleared his throat. "Come on, kiddo. Lucy's waiting, and those pancakes won't stay hot forever. Lily grabbed her backpack, paused at the door. 2 weeks? 2 weeks, Ray confirmed. The door closed behind them. Paul's voice filtered through, quieter but still audible. You're not sure about this. You can withdraw any time. I don't need you at Silvercrest. We can find another way. Ray stepped into the hallway. You know why I need to be there. The threat's credible. It's not if, it's when. Paul turned, Lily's hand in his. But it's more than the threat, isn't it? Lucan's the problem. Ray's jaw tightened. She didn't want to have this conversation in front of Lily, even if her sister was too young to understand mate bonds and dying slowly from unrequited love. That's not the only way, Paul said, his voice careful. And your solution isn't healthy. I'll work something out. Ray crossed her arms. But for now, I need these 2 weeks to assess the situation. Paul studied her for a long moment, then nodded. He squeezed Lily's hand. Let's go get those pancakes. They disappeared down the hallway, Lily's backpack bouncing with each step. Ray stood in her empty apartment, suppressants already dissolving in her system, migraine building behind her eyes like a promise. Are you ready for your first day? Clipboard asked from the kitchen counter, where he'd been quietly observing the entire exchange. Yes, Ray said. Clipboard snorted. Your lying technique needs work. I'm diagnosing you with emotional avoidance and self-sacrificial tendencies. We should address those before you walk into a building with your mate and pretend everything's fine. Clip. Also, you're going to be late if you keep standing there having an existential crisis. He climbed up her arm to her shoulder. Come on, let's go watch you suffer through proximity to the man your wolf wants to claim while chemicals slowly kill you from the inside. This should be educational. You're the worst therapist ever, Ray muttered, grabbing her keys. I'm the only therapist who'll work with you. That makes me the best, by default. Ray arrived at Silvercrest Industries at 6:45 a.m., 15 minutes before 7. Plenty of time to reach her office, review Lucan's schedule, check the day's meeting roster and guest list before he... Movement in her peripheral vision. Coffee cup. Her body reacted, leg sweeping up, foot aimed at center mass. She stopped herself half an inch from Lucan's chest. They froze. Her boot pressed against his sternum, his coffee tilted at a dangerous angle, both of them locked in the world's most awkward, almost assault. Good morning to you, too. Lucan's ice-blue eyes gleamed with amusement. Ray dropped her leg, her face heating. I thought you arrived at 5 before 7. I'm 10 minutes early. He lowered his coffee, no longer in immediate danger. You memorized my schedule down to the minute? Security protocol. Ray stepped back, putting distance between them. Her heart hammered, from the near kick, from his winter wind scent invading her space. I need to know movement patterns. Right, patterns. His lips twitched. Does the pattern include attacking me every time we meet? Only when you appear unexpectedly, she said. In my own building. In the wrong location at the wrong time. Ray moved past him toward the security wing, her boots clicking against marble. You should be in your office by now. Right, sure, be in my office. Behave in a predictable pattern or get kicked down on my ass by my security. Got it. He fell into step beside her. By the way, was that a karate kick? I'm a black belt in Taekwondo, she said. Got it. I'll be extra cautious with my movement patterns inside my own company. He raised the coffee cup he was holding. I have an equivalent 6-degree black belt coffee in my office. Not available in the common area, not even in the top executive suite. Knocks out any sign of overwork and tiredness. Would you like some? Ray stopped walking. Are you saying I look tired? Your words, not mine. He kept his expression carefully neutral. She turned to face him fully, one eyebrow raised. You realize you look tired is something you're not supposed to tell a woman, right? Is it? Lucan's mouth curved into a slow smile. I must have missed that training. Should I expect another kick for the violation? I'm considering it, she said. Fair enough. He gestured toward the executive floor with his coffee cup. The offer stands. Best coffee in the country, allegedly. though I make no promises about its magical fatigue-removing properties. Ray studied him, the casual stance that didn't quite hide the tension in his shoulders, the way he watched her like he was cataloging every micro-expression. Conversation like this was dangerous for her hidden agenda, not because of the wolf underneath his expensive suit, but because he made her want to say yes. "1 cup," she said finally. "But if this is some elaborate ploy to get me to lower my guard, you'll kick me. I'm aware." He started walking again. "I'm starting to think you enjoy it." "The kicking or the coffee?" she asked. "Both." Clipboard's head popped out of her pocket. "He's not wrong. Your cortisol levels suggest you slept approximately 3 hours. Your blood pressure's erratic. You should consider—" "Clip," Ray warned. "What? I'm establishing medical baseline, very important for workplace health and safety." Clipboard turned to Lucan. "She needs coffee, with the energy boost, and probably food, but she'll refuse because she has control issues." "Noted." Lucan gestured toward the executive elevator. "Come on, my office has better coffee than whatever's in the security room. I have work, which includes keeping me alive, according to Paul." "Can't do that if you collapse from exhaustion." Lucan pressed the elevator button. "Consider it a direct order from your client." The elevator arrived. Lucan stepped inside, held the door. Ray followed because refusing would raise questions. And because her traitorous wolf was purring at the proximity, the attention, the fact that he'd noticed she was tired and wanted to fix it. "Your self-preservation instincts are terrible," Clipboard whispered. "I know," Ray whispered back. The elevator rose. Lucan's office was on the top floor. She knew that, had mapped it, had never actually been inside except for the brief coffee-soaked visit 2 days ago. The doors opened. Lucan led her to his office, gestured to the sitting area near the windows. "Wait here." He disappeared into what she now knew was a private kitchen. Sounds of an espresso machine, the clink of ceramic, the rich smell of coffee that probably cost more per pound than her rent. Lucan returned with 2 mugs. He handed her one. Perfect temperature, exactly the right amount of cream she took. How did he know? And something else. Something that smelled like energy and health and everything the suppressants stole from her. "Vitamin boost," Lucan said, sitting across from her. "Legal, non-prescription, just concentrated B-complex and adaptogenic herbs. Won't interfere with whatever medications you're on." Ray stared at the coffee. At him. "Why?" "Because you work for me now. And I take care of my people." He sipped his own coffee, watching her over the rim. "Also, watching you almost fall asleep during security briefings wouldn't be great for either of us." Clipboard climbed onto the arm of Ray's chair. "He's being remarkably thoughtful for someone you kicked twice. This is either genuine care or elaborate manipulation." "I'm leaning toward genuine care, but I reserve the right to revise my diagnosis." "He can hear you," Ray muttered. "I'm aware. I'm establishing therapeutic transparency." Clipboard turned to Lucan. "She doesn't accept help easily. Childhood trauma, trust issues, pathological self-reliance. You'll need patience." "Clip," Ray started. "I have patience," Lucan said, still watching Ray. "And time. 2 weeks, right?" The coffee was perfect. The boost worked almost immediately, warmth spreading through her system, pushing back the suppressant fog, giving her clarity she hadn't felt in days. "Thank you," Ray said quietly. Lucan's expression softened. "You're welcome." The moment stretched. His ice-blue eyes held hers, and something passed between them. Recognition, maybe. Want, definitely. The mate bond pulling, always pulling. Ray looked away first. "I should review your schedule." "Right, work." Lucan stood, moved to his desk. "I'll send it to your office system." Ray stood too, clipboard climbing back to her shoulder. "Thank you for the coffee." "Winters?" Lucan looked up from his computer. She paused at the door. "It's going to be a good 2 weeks," he said. Ray's throat tightened. "We'll see." She made it to her office, small, windowless, perfect for someone who preferred shadows, and pulled up Lucan's schedule. Meetings, conference calls, one site visit this afternoon. Guest list showed the usual executives, A few external consultants, nothing alarming. Her phone buzzed. Paul. Lily safe at school. Lucy made extra pancakes. Breathing. Ray typed back, barely. That's my girl. Call if you need extraction. She pocketed her phone, started cross-referencing the guest list against known threats, corporate rivals, anyone who might... Lunch break, Lucan said from her doorway. Ray jumped. How do you keep appearing without warning? I'm quiet. He leaned against the frame. You're coming with me. I have work, I know. This is work. He pushed off the frame. I have a thing. You're my security. That means you come. Ray saved her files, stood. Where? You'll see. The elementary school was 3 blocks from Silvercrest Industries. Lunch hour in full swing, children's voices carrying across the playground. Ray stood at the fence, fingers wrapped around chain link, watching Lily chase another kid across the jungle gym. She looked happy, bright, laughing, safe. I can get your sister into a better school, Lucan said beside her. Ray's fingers tightened on the fence. We're happy with this one. She looked at him. Don't you have an empire to run? Yes, and your business is part of my empire business. He leaned against the fence, watching the playground. You're head of security. Your job is to make sure I live. That means I need to understand what matters to you, what you're protecting. You hired me to protect you, not psychoanalyze me. Lily spotted them, waved. Ray waved back, throat tight. Come on. Lucan touched her elbow, gentle. Let's get you back before you break down crying at an elementary school fence. I don't cry. Everyone cries, Winters. You just do it where no one can see. I said do not psychoanalyze me, but there was no heat in her words. He looked down, locking eyes with her. She stared back. 10 seconds stretched between them, his ice blue gaze holding hers, searching for something she couldn't give. He rubbed his thumb across her cheek, the touch feather light. Come on, Ray. My wolf recognizes something in you. I know you're more than what I can see. We're more than just a professional connection. Why can't you open up? Just a little. Let me in. Tell me what I can do so you trust me a little more. His voice dropped. I can provide. I can protect you. If you let me. Ray couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't reconcile the alpha with a reputation for being ruthless in business with the same man who brought her coffee and tracked down her sister's school and was standing here, looking at her like she mattered. And yet she couldn't accept it. Not when her sister's life was on the line. She cleared her throat. I need time. He gave it a beat, then nodded. That I can give. I'll wait until you're ready. But before that happens, you and yours are under my protection. She snorted. You're paying me to be your private security. He smiled, the kind of smile so gentle it hurt. He took her hand, placed it on his chest. Then help me guard this. I only have one heart, and no money in this world is going to buy it. I'll wait until you feel comfortable enough to share yours with me. She swallowed. How can you be so sure? I'm not. I can't be if you don't open up. But my wolf? His ice blue eyes flashed silver. Yeah, he's very sure about what he wants. He wants you. They started walking back toward Silvercrest, the city moving around them. Lunch crowds, traffic, normal Tuesday chaos. Chapter 4. Back in her office, Ray didn't sit. Couldn't sit. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up files, cross-referencing guest lists against corporate databases, searching for the threat she knew was coming but couldn't name. Clipboard climbed onto her desk, perched on top of the external hard drive where the heat vented. Yes, perfect. My ideal temperature is slightly too warm electronics. Very therapeutic for my joints. He settled in, whiskers twitching. Also, you have the look of someone who just got emotionally ambushed by a billionaire alpha with surprisingly effective communication skills and a disturbing understanding of romantic gestures. Not now, Clip. Ray clicked through another database. Vivian Cross's name kept appearing in Lucan's upcoming meetings, 3 scheduled this week alone. Did he kiss you? No. Another click. Another dead end. But you wanted him to. I'm detecting elevated oxytocin levels and what I can only describe as pining. Very tragic, very predictable. I'm adding it to my case study on self-sabotaging behavior in emotionally repressed shifters. Ray's fingers paused on the keyboard. I need to focus, Clip. You need to stop running from solutions because they're scary. As your licensed, pending therapist, I'm prescribing a radical intervention. Clipboard stood on his hind legs, paws planted on her mouse like a tiny furry dictator. Listen to me for 30 seconds. Actual listening, not the thing where you pretend to listen while mentally cataloging exit strategies and planning your next emotional breakdown. Ray sat back, arms crossed. 30 seconds. You asked to transfer here because you detected a threat. You don't know what it is. Questionable threat assessment methodology, by the way. Clipboard's nose twitched as he paced across the desk. You can't tell him about it because of your commitment issues masquerading as self-sacrifice. And because of proximity to him, you're doubling your suppressants every 24 hours. He paused, whiskers drooping. That's a terrible plan with a sad ending that I'll have to document in my research blog. I hate sad endings. They're bad for my academic credibility. You don't have a blog, Clip, Ray said. Not yet, same thing. He puffed out his chest. But as always, I don't point out a problem without offering a solution. Tell him you're his mate. His wolf already knows. I've seen the way he looks at you. Like you hung the moon and invented treats. Classic psychological condition called pining. Ray's jaw tightened. That only works if he accepts me. I have nothing to offer except baggage, a target on my back, and a guinea pig with boundary issues. Her voice dropped. If I reveal everything and he rejects me, I've given Lily a death sentence. Incorrect. Clipboard raised one paw like a professor correcting a particularly dense student. That's not how soulmate bonds work. Basic Paranormal Psychology 101, which, yes, I taught myself through rigorous observation and several borrowed textbooks. He began counting on his tiny claws. The rejection would kill him too. Catastrophic bond failure, very messy, lots of emotional devastation, physical deterioration, insomnia, loss of appetite, uncontrollable weeping. I could go on, but I'm trying to stay within my 30-second window. He sat back on his haunches, looking smug. Want to bet? I don't bet on Lily's life based on your self-taught PhD, Ray said. Over the balcony. Wait, Clipboard's ears flattened. I was trying to help. That's what caring looks like when you have superior intellect and no opposable thumbs. He recovered quickly. Fine. Then we test him. Controlled experiment, very scientific. We tell him you're a shifter, not human. Gives him hope. But we also tell him you come with dangerous baggage. See if he still wants in. If he runs, you were right. If he stays, I was right. And you owe me premium guinea pig pellets for a month. He already suggested he would stay. Words are cheap. Cheaper than my therapy rates, which are extremely reasonable considering my qualifications. Clipboard hopped down from the hard drive, landing on her desk with purpose. Actions matter. Empirical evidence. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask him the ultimate test question. Would he give up his alpha position for you? Ray's hands slammed on the desk. Clip, no. If he's shocked and appalled, I'll say it's a joke. Early April Fool's preparation. I'm thinking ahead. That's called strategic planning. But if he says yes without hesitation, Clipboard's expression turned smug. Then you have your answer about whether he's worth the risk. Also, I'll be insufferably correct, which is my natural state, so really it's a win-win for me. That's not, you can't just, I absolutely can. I'm a licensed professional. Pending. Clipboard was already moving, scuttling across her desk toward the door with surprising speed for a guinea pig. This is what we call exposure therapy. Very cutting edge. You're welcome. Clip. Ray launched out of her chair, chasing him into the hallway. He was fast, faster than she expected, zigzagging between startled employees' feet like a tiny furry missile with a doctorate. This is research, he called over his shoulder. Very important research. For science. Thud. Clipboard slammed directly into the pointy end of a very expensive red Louboutin heel. Ouch. He sat back, rubbing his nose with both paws. Note to self, insufficient spatial awareness when conducting field research. Also, expensive shoes or weapons. Adding that to my trauma journal. Ray skidded to a stop, looked up, and everything stopped. The woman standing in front of her was Vivian Cross. Fox shifter. Ray could smell it now, musky and wrong under the expensive perfume. Tall, elegant black hair falling in perfect waves. Dark eyes that assessed and calculated and recognized prey when she saw it. But she didn't recognize Ray. The suppressants worked. Thank every god in every pantheon. Not just hiding scent, masking appearance, muting the wolf, making Ray forgettable enough to survive. Lucan stood beside Vivian, tablet in hand, mid-conversation. "This is Vivian Cross. We're going to be business partners soon." Vivian's voice was silk over steel. She smiled, sharp and predatory. "Our businesses will become one, and so will we." Ray's wolf snarled behind the suppressant cage. "Become one?" Ray forced the words out, kept her voice level, professional, bland. "Business merger," Lucan said, his tone carefully neutral. "She's speaking metaphorically." What he said? Vivian's smile widened, showing teeth. But keep in mind, there's a lot going on during a merger process. Terminology gets flexible. Her hand lifted, adjusting the chain at her neck, and there it was. The pendant, silver, ornate, ancient symbols etched into metal that had drunk her mother's blood 5 years ago. Glowing faintly, so faint a human wouldn't notice, but Ray saw it, felt it, recognized the magic radiating from it like a beacon screaming, "This is what killed your family." Ray's vision tunneled. Her suppressants screamed. Her wolf howled. Her hand moved. Pure instinct. 5 years of combat training, muscle memory overriding conscious thought, reaching for the concealed weapon at her spine. Lucan's hand caught her wrist. Fast. Impossibly fast. His grip firm but careful, stopping her weapon hand before she'd cleared the holster. "Winters." His voice was low, concerned. The touch jolted her back. She froze, caught mid-draw, Vivian's dark eyes sharp and assessing 3 feet away. "Jumpy security." Vivian tilted her head, studying Ray like a bug under glass. "How thorough." Lucan's thumb pressed against Ray's pulse point, checking her heart rate, probably feeling it hammering like a trapped animal. "Are you all right?" Ray forced her hand to relax. Let Lucan guide her weapon, hand back down, away from the holster, away from the mistake that would have blown everything. "Sorry." Her voice came out rough. "Thought I saw—" Her throat locked. The words wouldn't come. 5 years of silence, 5 years of hiding, 5 years of "this woman is why your mother is dead" all crashing together at once. "Take a break," Lucan said quietly, still holding her wrist. 10 minutes, get some air." "Yes, sir." Ray bent down, scooped up clipboard, didn't look at Vivian again because if she did, she'd finish drawing that weapon and consequences be damned. She turned, walked back to her office on legs that shook, made it inside, closed the door, leaned against it, chest heaving, suppressants and rage and recognition tearing her apart from the inside. Clipboard climbed to her shoulder. "I'm detecting extreme physiological distress, heart rate through the roof. Cortisol levels catastrophic. You're about to have a panic attack, aren't you? Because I'm not equipped for panic attacks. I'm a psychologist, not a miracle worker." Ray's voice was ice and murder. "That's the one." "Oh." Clipboard went very still. "Oh, that's not good. That's very not good. I'm revising my entire treatment plan. Possibly my dissertation. This is significantly more complicated than garden-variety emotional avoidance." She pushed off the door, moved to her computer with new purpose, pulled up every file she had, every piece of intel she'd been gathering for 5 years. There, charity gala photo, 5 years and 3 months ago. Vivian Cross standing next to Ray's mother, both smiling, champagne glasses raised, 2 weeks before the attack that would leave her mother dead and Ray and Lily running. Vivian had known her mother, had stood beside her, smiled at her, targeted her. This wasn't random syndicate cleanup. This was personal. Clipboard leaned forward, squinting at the screen. That's your mother and her together before... He sat back. I'm diagnosing this situation as extremely screwed. That's not the clinical term, but it's accurate. Ray grabbed her jacket, her keys, her phone. Where are you going? Clipboard asked. Home. Her phone buzzed. Lucan. Where did you go? Vivian wants to discuss security protocols with the team. Ray stared at the message, at the photo on her screen, at the pendant glowing in the captured moment. Security protocols. Vivian wanted access to his security systems, to his schedules, to him. She typed back, emergency, back tomorrow. Another buzz, immediate. Are you okay? Ray looked at the photo one more time. Her mother, alive, laughing, standing next to the woman who got her kill 14 days later. Not yet, she typed, but I will be. She pocketed her phone, grabbed her go-bag from the bottom drawer, always packed, always ready, 5 years of paranoia paying off. We're going to tell Paul, Clipboard said, climbing into her pocket. We're going to do more than that. Ray headed for the door, each step measured, controlled. Not running this time. Hunting. What's the plan? Ray pulled up one more file on her phone as she walked. Vivian Cross's scheduled meetings with Lucan. 3 this week. First one tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. The plan, Ray said, pushing through the stairwell door, taking the stairs down 2 at a time, is to find out exactly what she wants with Lucan, and then stop her before she gets it. Define stop her. Ray's smile was cold, however necessary. That's very vague, concerningly vague. I'm adding violent tendencies when triggered to your file. Clipboard poked his head out of her pocket. But also, I support you, therapeutically speaking, because that woman is clearly terrible and deserves whatever's coming to her. She hit the ground floor, pushed through the exit, headed for her car. Chapter 5. The elementary school pickup line stretched around the block, minivans and SUVs idling in the October afternoon sun. Ray bypassed them all, parked illegally in the loading zone, and walked straight through the front entrance. The secretary looked up. Ms. Winters, pickup isn't until... Family emergency. Ray kept walking, past the front desk, down the hallway where kindergarten artwork covered every available surface. Lily's classroom was third on the left. She'd memorized the layout the first day of school, counted exits, assessed threat vectors, planned extraction routes. Just in case. Just in case was here. She knocked once on the classroom door, pushed through without waiting. Mrs. Patterson looked up from the reading circle, 25-year-old sitting cross-legged on the carpet. Ms. Winters? I need Lily. Ray's voice was steady, controlled, professional. Family emergency. She's leaving early. Lily's head snapped up from where she sat between 2 other girls, picture book open on her lap. Their eyes met across the classroom, and Lily knew. Ray watched it happen. The way her sister's face went carefully blank, the way her small hands closed the book with precise control, the way she stood without a word and walked to her cubby. 5 years old, and already trained for this. Ray's chest cracked open. Is everything all right? Mrs. Patterson stood, concern creasing her forehead. Yes, thank you. Ray moved to Lily's cubby, where her sister was already pulling on her jacket, movements efficient, practiced. No questions, no protests. Like she'd done this countless times before, because she had. Lily grabbed her backpack, already packed. Ray had done it this morning before Lucan showed up at her door with his gentle words and devastating honesty. She'd known even then that today might be the day. Say goodbye to your friends, Ray said quietly. Lily turned. The 2 girls from the reading circle stood nearby, clutching their own picture books. Bye, Emma. Bye, Sophia. Lily's voice was small, careful. I have to go. Will you be back tomorrow? Emma asked. Lily looked at Ray. Ray's throat tightened. I don't know, Lily said. Oh. Emma's face fell. Okay. They walked out of the classroom, down the hallway, past the secretary who was still calling after them about sign-out procedures. Ray didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Every second they stayed here was a second the tracking curse could activate, could lead hunters straight to Lily. Where's Uncle Paul taking us this time? Lily asked as they reached the car. Her hand found Ray's, small fingers gripping tight. Ray opened the back door, helped Lily climb into her booster seat, started buckling the straps with hands that wanted to shake but wouldn't let themselves. Uncle Paul isn't making us go anywhere, Ray said, pulling the strap tighter than necessary. He never makes us go anywhere we don't want to. He just helps when we have to be on the move. Keeps me employed with the company. I know. Lily's voice was matter of fact. The tone of a child who'd learned too young that life wasn't fair, and crying didn't change it. That's what happens when the bad wolves come. We have to run again. Ray froze, hand on the buckle. Lily. It's okay, Ray. I understand. Lily looked out the window at her school, at the playground where she'd been laughing 3 hours ago, at the friends she'd made in 6 weeks of stability. I knew it wouldn't last. It never does. Something in Ray's chest shattered. She finished buckling the seatbelt, closed the door, moved to the driver's seat because if she stayed next to Lily another second, she'd break down. And 5-year-olds didn't need to see their sisters fall apart. The drive to the snow play center took 15 minutes through traffic that felt like concrete. Lily didn't ask where they were going. Didn't ask why. Just sat in the back seat, small hands folded in her lap, watching the city slide past. 5 years old. She should be asking questions. Should be crying, protesting, demanding answers. Instead, she sat silent, waiting for whatever came next. Because this was normal. Because Ray had made this normal. The snow play center sat at the edge of the city, indoor facility, year-round snow, perfect for hiding a child where no one would think to look. Ray had used it before, 3 years ago, when a threat got too close, and Paul needed 24 hours to relocate them. Amanda still worked there, still owed Ray a favor from the time Ray had stopped a robbery at Amanda's apartment complex, put 3 men in the hospital, never asked for anything in return. Until now. Ray parked, killed the engine, turned in her seat to look at Lily. This time is different, she said. Lily's eyes widened slightly. Different how? Uncle Paul isn't involved. I'm taking you somewhere safe, and you have to stay there by yourself for a little while. Ray's voice cracked on the last word. She cleared her throat, forced it steady. I have something I need to do, and then I'll come back and get you. How long? I don't know. A day? A week? Lily's voice got smaller. Longer? I don't know, sweetheart, but I promise I'll come back. Lily nodded, swallowed hard. Okay? Okay? Ray's hands gripped the steering wheel. That's it? Just okay? You need me to be brave. Lily unbuckled her seatbelt with practiced fingers. So I'm being brave. No, you should be crying. You should be scared. You should be 5. Ray got out of the car, opened Lily's door, and this time when Lily's arms wrapped around her neck, she let herself hold on. Let herself memorize the weight of her sister, the strawberry shampoo from this morning, the small heartbeat against her chest. I love you, Ray whispered. I love you too. Lily pulled back, tears shining in her eyes but not falling. Not yet. Don't die, okay? Ray's breath caught. I won't. Promise? I promise. They walked into the snow play center hand in hand. Amanda was at the front desk, looked up when they entered, and understanding crossed her face immediately. Hey, Lily. Amanda's smile was warm, practiced. Want to see the new snow fort? We just built it this morning. Lily looked at Ray. Ray nodded. Go ahead. I need to talk to Amanda for a minute. Lily walked toward the play area, backpack bouncing with each step, small and alone and 5 years old. How long? Amanda asked quietly. I don't know. Could be hours. Could be days. Is someone coming for her? No. No one knows she's here except you and me. Ray pulled out her phone, sent Amanda Paul's number. If I don't come back in 72 hours, call this number. He'll come get her. Amanda's eyes widened. "Ray, I'll come back, but if I don't—" Ray's voice broke. She forced it together. "If I don't, he'll take care of her. He'll keep her safe." "What are you about to do?" "End something." Ray looked through the glass partition at Lily, who was climbing into the snow fort, small and brave and everything good in Ray's world. End something that should have ended 5 years ago. Amanda studied her for a long moment. 72 hours. After that, I call. Thank you. Ray walked into the play area. Lily was in the snow fort building something with artificial snow, her concentration absolute. "Lily," her sister looked up. "I'm leaving Clipboard with you, for company." Ray reached into her backpack, the one where Clipboard always rode. Empty. Her hand dove deeper. Nothing. The other pocket. Her bag. The car. No. "Ray?" Lily's voice was small. "Where's Clip?" "I don't—" Ray's mind raced. The office. She'd scooped him up after the encounter with Vivian, but then, had he climbed out in the car? At the school. "I don't know where he is." Lily's face crumpled. The transformation was instant. 1 second holding it together, the next her small features collapsing like a sandcastle hit by a wave. Her bottom lip trembled. Her eyes filled with tears that had been threatening since the classroom. "No, no, sweetheart, it's okay." Ray dropped to her knees in the artificial snow, the cold biting through her jeans. She pulled Lily close, felt her sister's small body shaking. "I'll find him. I promise. He's very smart. He won't wander off without a good reason." Lily's fingers twisted in Ray's jacket, gripping tight like she was afraid to let go. But what if he's lost? What if he's scared? "Clipboard? Scared?" Ray pulled back enough to see Lily's face, brushed snow-wet hair from her forehead. "That guinea pig has never been scared a day in his life. He's probably giving someone therapy right now. Unsolicited therapy." Lily's lips twitched. Almost a smile. "He does that." "He does." Ray cupped her sister's face, thumbs gentle on tear-stained cheeks. "And you know why he won't get lost?" "Why?" "Because he has a PhD in clinical psychology." Ray's voice was soft, steady, the same tone she'd used when Lily was a baby, waking from nightmares. "Remember? He tells everyone, all the time." "From the balcony," Lily whispered, and this time the smile stuck, just a little. "He watched Dr. Chen's whole program." "Exactly. Which means he's very smart. Probably the smartest guinea pig in the world." Ray smoothed Lily's hair back again, the auburn strands so much like their mother's. "He'll come back to us, sweetheart. I know he will." Lily's eyes searched Ray's face, looking for the lie, the hesitation, the doubt. "You really think so?" "I know so." Ray's throat tightened. "That ridiculous rodent loves you too much to stay away. And he definitely loves me too much to miss the chance to tell me I'm emotionally repressed and making poor life choices." Lily hiccuped a laugh through her tears. "He says that a lot." "He does, because he's usually right." Ray pulled Lily close again, pressed a kiss to the top of her head. "I'll find Clipboard and bring him back with me when I come get you. Both of us. Together. I promise." "You promise?" Lily's voice was muffled against Ray's shoulder. "Both of you?" "Both of us," Ray confirmed. "I'll bring your bossy, over-credentialed, inappropriately therapeutic guinea pig back safe and sound, and then he can diagnose us both with whatever new condition he's invented." "With invisible clipboards," Lily added, and this time when she smiled, it was real. "With so many invisible clipboards." Ray stood, helped Lily to her feet, brushed snow from her sister's jacket. "Can you be brave for me? Just a little while longer?" Lily nodded, swallowing hard. Her chin lifted. That stubborn thorn determination that their mother had, that Ray had, that somehow this 5-year-old carried like armor. "I can be brave. For you and Clip." "That's my girl. I love you," Ray whispered. "Love you too," Lily whispered back. Ray stood, walked to the door, looked back once. Lily stood in the snow fort, small and alone in 5, watching her sister leave, and waved. Ray waved back, turned, and left. Chapter 6. Adam closed his office door, dropped his tablet on the desk, and loosened his tie. Vivian Cross's merger presentation had run 2 hours over schedule, and Lucan was still in there with her, discussing synergies and strategic alignments that made Adam's instincts scream warnings his brain couldn't articulate. Something about that woman was wrong. A scratching sound came from under his desk. Adam froze, reached slowly for the letter opener in his top drawer. Silver, sharp enough to double as a weapon if necessary. The scratching continued, insistent, deliberate. Then a small brown and white head emerged from under the desk, whiskers twitching, dark eyes blinking up at him with what could only be described as profound indignation. Finally! The guinea pig sat back on his haunches, tiny paws gesturing like a traffic cop. I've been trapped under there for 45 minutes. Do you have any idea how traumatic it is to be surrounded by dust bunnies and forgotten paperwork? Very triggering. I'm adding it to my ongoing list of workplace safety violations. Adam stared. The guinea pig stared back, unblinking. Adam set down the letter opener carefully. You're the thing from the interview, the one that talks. The thing? The guinea pig's nose wrinkled with visible offense. I have a name. I'm Clipboard, PhD in clinical psychology, specializing in behavioral analysis and interpersonal trauma. And you're Adam, Lucan's beta, currently harboring some very interesting boundary issues regarding your alpha's romantic life. I haven't said anything about you don't have to. Your body language is screaming, concerned. Best friend who knows his alpha is being an idiot, but can't figure out how to intervene without overstepping. Clipboard climbed onto Adam's desk with surprising agility, leaving tiny paw prints on a quarterly report. Classic beta dilemma, very common in pack dynamics. I could write a paper on it. In fact, I might, after we deal with the current crisis. Adam rubbed his temples. This is the weirdest Tuesday I've ever had. It's about to get significantly weirder. Clipboard sat primly, tail wrapped around his feet like a tiny furry professor preparing to deliver devastating news. I need you to take me to Lucan, immediately. This is urgent. Life or death urgent. Possibly multiple deaths if we don't act quickly, and I do not want to write those case studies. Why would I? Because Ray and Lucan are soulmates. You already know that based on your excessive hovering and concerned glances, and something very bad is about to happen if we don't intervene. Clipboard's whiskers twitched. Also, I accidentally sneaked out of Ray's bag, and by the time I realized she'd left the building, she was already in the parking garage. Do you know how far the parking garage is from here? 17 floors. I had to use the service elevator. Twice. The horror. The absolute terror of fluorescent lighting and maintenance workers who don't look where they step. Adam leaned back in his chair, studying the indignant rodent. How did you get the elevator up here without a swipe card? Security here is strict, and you know that given you're Ray's companion. I'm not a pet, Clipboard said, bristling. But that's not important. How I got here is a trade secret. Also not important. Yes, it is. Adam crossed his arms. I need to know if security's been breached and someone can access restricted floors without authorization. All right, fine, I hitched a ride, okay? Not very dignified for someone with my credentials, but I have a mission to accomplish. Clipboard's ears flattened slightly. I wanted Lucan's floor, but no one went there, so I settled for the beta level. You. Adam's lips twitched despite everything. Well, that's flattering, Clip. Only the inner circle gets to call me Clip. The guinea pig drew himself up to his full 4-inch height. You call me Dr. Clipboard. I'm still workshopping the name, but it has gravitas. Okay, Dr. Clipboard. Adam leaned forward, elbows on his desk. How can I help? I need to talk to Lucan. You said that already. Adam studied the small creature, noting the genuine urgency beneath the academic pomposity. Why should I help you? Because... Clipboard stood on his hind legs, front paws gesturing dramatically. Lucan and Ray are soulmates, fated mates. The real deal with the soul bond and the eternal connection and all that romantic destiny nonsense that's actually scientifically documented in paranormal literature. His wolf knows. Her wolf knows. Their humans are being catastrophically stupid about it, but that's what humans do. They're stupid about feelings. It's very well documented across multiple species. I suspected as much. Adam's expression turned serious. Doesn't explain why you need to see Lucan right now. Clipboard's whiskers drooped, his entire demeanor shifting from pompous academic to genuinely worried friend. Because Ray suspects, and I mean strongly suspects despite the lack of concrete evidence, that Vivian Cross was involved in an incident that killed Ray's parents 5 years ago. Adam sat forward sharply. What? You heard me. Killed. Parents. 5 years ago. Past tense tragedy with current tense implications. Clipboard's tiny paws gestured emphatically. Ray saw something today. A pendant. She had a visceral physiological reaction. Heart rate spike. Pupils dilated. Hand went for her weapon. I watched the whole thing from my observation post. Very concerning. Then she grabbed an old photo from her desk and ran. She left? Emergency exit. Didn't even tell Lucan. Just grabbed her stuff and bolted like her tail was on fire. Metaphorically speaking, obviously. Clipboard's nose twitched anxiously, which means she's either running from something or running toward something, and neither option is good because she's emotionally compromised and likely to do something dramatic and self-sacrificial. She has a concerning pattern of self-sacrificial behavior. I've been documenting it. Adam's mind raced. The way Lucan was distracted around Ray, the way the room temperature dropped when Vivian entered, the aura around her, something that made people want to submit, not because they loved her or feared her, but something else, something pulling, urging you to do whatever she asked. Hypnotic? Mind manipulation? You don't like Vivian either, Clipboard observed, tilting his head. I can tell. Your micro-expressions whenever her name comes up suggest distrust bordering on hostility. What's your read on her? She's, Adam chose his words carefully, calculating. Every word, every gesture is strategic. She wants something more than a business merger. She wants Lucan, Clipboard said flatly. I've been observing her behavioral patterns through Ray's intel reports and my own reconnaissance missions. Classic predatory courtship behaviors masked as professional interest. Very manipulative. Textbook narcissistic personality disorder with possible sociopathic tendencies and a sprinkle of megalomania. That's a lot of diagnosis from a guinea pig, Adam said. PhD, Clipboard corrected, somehow managing to look down his tiny nose at Adam despite being 8 inches tall. And I'm very good at my job, which is why I need your help. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to take me to Lucan right now, and I'm going to tell him that his mate is in danger, and the woman he just spent 2 hours with potentially killed her family. Then we're going to figure out where Ray went before she does something heroically stupid that gets her killed, which would kill Lucan through bond failure, which would devastate the pack, which would create a power vacuum that Vivian would undoubtedly exploit. I've thought this through very carefully. Adam studied the small creature for a long moment. Despite the absurdity of taking advice from a talking guinea pig with a self-awarded PhD, everything Clipboard said aligned with his own instincts. All right, he said finally, standing. But if this goes wrong, I'm blaming you. Fair enough. Clipboard scurried toward the desk edge. Now pick me up, carefully. I'm delicate despite my impressive intellect. And for the love of all that's holy, don't drop me. I don't have opposable thumbs. Falling is genuinely terrifying. Adam stood. He just signed the deal with Vivian 10 minutes ago. The contracts are done. Clipboard's eyes widened. He what? Signed. Merger complete. Vivian Cross is now officially a business partner with access to Silvercrest resources, facilities, and... Adam's stomach dropped. Security protocols. Oh no. Clipboard's voice was small. Oh no. That's bad. That's very bad. That's catastrophically bad. Why? Because if Vivian wanted access to this building, to Lucan, to Ray, she just got it. Legally. With his signature. Clipboard was already moving, scuttling toward the door. We need to tell him now. Right now. Before Vivian realizes Ray figured out who she is. Adam moved faster, scooped up clipboard, and strode toward the door. "If you're wrong about this—" "I'm not wrong. I have a PhD. I'm never wrong." Clipboard clung to Adam's shoulder. "Well, rarely wrong, occasionally wrong, but not about this. Trust me." They hit the hallway at a near run. Adam's office was 3 doors down from Lucan's. The frosted glass showed 2 silhouettes inside, Lucan at his desk, Vivian standing close, too close, leaning over his shoulder to point at something on his screen. Adam didn't knock, just opened the door and walked through. "Lucan, we have a problem." Both heads turned. Lucan's expression shifted from annoyance at the interruption to confusion at the guinea pig on Adam's shoulder. Vivian's eyes narrowed. "Is that Ray's pet?" "Emotional support animal," Clipboard started. "Licensed. Pending. Mostly." Vivian moved. Not fast, not wolf fast or shifter fast or even human fast. Impossible fast. 1 second she was standing by Lucan's desk. The next, her hand was plucking clipboard from Adam's shoulder like picking a flower. Movement so fluid, Adam's brain couldn't process the transition. She held clipboard in her palm, fingers cradling him gently. Too gently. The kind of gentle that made Adam's instincts scream danger. "Oh, how cute," Vivian cooed, her voice sugar-sweet. "Look at this precious little thing. So soft, so delicate." Clipboard opened his mouth, probably to correct her about his credentials, his PhD, his professional boundaries. Nothing came out. His eyes went glassy, unfocused. His small body relaxed in her palm, muscles going slack in a way that was wrong. Then he collapsed, just fell over, legs splaying at angles that legs shouldn't splay, one eye closed, the other half open and staring at nothing. "Clipboard?" Adam lunged forward, grabbed the guinea pig from Vivian's hand. The small body was warm but limp, chest barely moving. "What did you do to him?" "Nothing." Vivian's smile was all innocence. "He fell asleep. Poor thing looked tired." "He's not asleep." Adam cradled clipboard against his chest, felt the irregular heartbeat, the wrong breathing. "Something's wrong with him." Lucan was already moving. "Phone out. There's a 24-hour emergency vet 2 blocks from here. Get him there now." Adam didn't wait for more, just ran. Through the office, past startled employees, into the elevator that took 10,000 years to reach the ground floor. Clipboard's breathing was getting worse, shallow, raspy, like his tiny lungs were forgetting how to work. "Don't you die on me," Adam muttered, pushing through the lobby doors. "You have a PhD. PhDs don't die from mysterious sleep attacks. That's not how this works." Clipboard's whiskers twitched, barely. "That's it. Keep breathing. Just keep breathing." Adam hit the street running. 2 blocks. The vet's neon sign glowed like a beacon. "We're almost there. Don't you dare die. Ray will kill me. Then Lucan will kill me. Then I'll kill myself for letting a talking guinea pig die on my watch." He burst through the vet's door. The receptionist looked up, startled. "Emergency," Adam gasped. "Guinea pig, not breathing right, needs help now." To her credit, the receptionist didn't ask questions. Just hit a button, and 30 seconds later, a vet in scrubs emerged, took one look at clipboard and said, "Follow me." The exam room was bright, sterile, smelling of antiseptic and pet anxiety. The vet, Dr. Morrison, her name tag read, took clipboard, laid him on the exam table, listened to his chest with a stethoscope. "Respiration is severely depressed," she said, already moving, pulling out equipment. "Heart rate's dropping. Pupils aren't responding. What happened?" "Someone touched him," Adam said. "A woman. She just picked him up, held him for maybe 10 seconds, and then he collapsed. Contact poison." Dr. Morrison grabbed a vial, drew up medication with a syringe. "Something absorbed through skin. I'm giving him activated charcoal and an antidote for common toxins, but I need to know what he was exposed to." She turned to grab another vial from the cabinet. Adam's phone buzzed. Lucan calling. He answered, turning slightly away from the exam table. "Yeah, we're at the vet. He's—" "Oh no," the doctor said. Adam turned around. clipboard had disappeared. The exam table was empty. No guinea pig, no tubes, no monitoring equipment. Just a small puddle of saline where the IV had been and a tiny paw print in the spilled liquid pointing toward the door. Dr. Morrison stared. Where did he go? Adam moved to the table as if clipboard might be hiding under the equipment. No, he was dying. He was also apparently very motivated. Dr. Morrison pointed to the door, which was now slightly more ajar than it had been, and possibly the first guinea pig in history to stage a prison break from a veterinary clinic while actively suffering from contact poison. Chapter 7. Lucan's office smelled like expensive coffee and the kind of tension that came before someone made a catastrophically bad decision. Adam stood by the window, arms crossed, watching the street below where a guinea pig had disappeared into the city 20 minutes ago. So, murder accusation, based on intel from a rodent with a psychology degree. A rodent who's now missing after being cursed, your word, by the woman he accused. Lucan leaned back in his chair, the leather creaking, which either proves his theory or proves he's paranoid and ran away from medical treatment. He was dying, Lucan. He didn't run from treatment. He ran toward something. Adam turned from the window. Or someone. My money's on Ray, who also isn't answering her phone. Lucan's fingers drummed against his desk. Once, twice, stopped when he realized he was doing it. Paul's ignoring my calls. Ray's gone dark. A guinea pig staged a prison break from a veterinary clinic. He met Adam's eyes. And you want me to accuse Vivian Cross of murder based on this? Yes. Adam, I watched that thing collapse, Lucan. I felt his heartbeat stop. That wasn't natural. That wasn't stress or coincidence or bad timing. Adam moved to the desk, planted both hands on the surface. She touched him for 10 seconds. He nearly died. Ray saw Vivian's pendant and had a panic attack so severe she almost drew her weapon in a corporate hallway. Those aren't random events. Lucan's jaw tightened. They're not proof either. So what? We don't have enough. Lucan stood, paced to the window where Adam had been. The city sprawled below, oblivious. Vivian Cross represents one of the most powerful packs in the Northern Territory. 3 generations of influence, territory rights across 4 states, council representation that goes back 60 years. If we accuse her without ironclad evidence, pack war, Adam finished. Pack war. Lucan's hands curled into fists. Which I won't endorse, not for speculation, not even for... He stopped himself. For your mate? Adam's voice was quiet. Because that's what Ray is, isn't it? Your wolf's been going insane for days. You can't focus. You showed up at her apartment with flowers. When have you ever bought flowers? Once, for my mother's funeral. Lucan turned from the window. So what do we do now, Lucan? The gala is in a few hours. Why don't you use that time to dig deep? I'll keep her occupied. The office door opened without a knock. Vivian Cross stood in the doorway, black dress clinging to curves that were calculated down to the millimeter, perfect smile that didn't reach her eyes, pendant catching the light like a beacon of everything wrong in Lucan's life. Am I interrupting? Her voice was honey over glass, sweet enough to tempt, sharp enough to cut. Just finishing up. Adam moved past her, careful not to touch, careful not to breathe her air. I'll have those reports ready by tonight. Reports? Vivian stepped into the office, letting the door close behind her with a soft click. Sounds important. Due diligence on the merger. Adam's hand was on the doorknob. Standard protocol, nothing you need to worry about. He left before she could respond. The door clicked shut. Silence filled the space where Adam had been. Lucan behind his desk, Vivian by the door, both of them pretending this was normal. Pretending she hadn't tried to kill a guinea pig. Pretending he didn't know. Your beta doesn't like me, Vivian said, moving toward the desk with predatory grace. Each step was measured, deliberate, her heels clicking against hardwood in a rhythm that felt almost hypnotic. Adam doesn't like anyone until they prove themselves trustworthy. Lucan stayed seated, kept the desk between them, solid oak 3 feet wide, the only barrier he had. Give him time. Time? Vivian's fingers trailed along the back of the guest chair, nails painted the same dark red as wine. Or blood. We don't have much of that, do we? The gala's tonight, our grand debut as partners. Business partners, Lucan corrected, voice flat. Of course. Her smile widened, showing teeth. What else would I mean? She paused, head tilting. Unless you're interested in discussing other types of partnerships. The air shifted. Subtle, almost imperceptible. But Lucan felt it. A pressure building in the room, like the moment before a storm, like the second before lightning struck. His wolf snarled, hackles raised, sensing something wrong. Magic. Had to be. The kind that slipped under conscious thought, that made decisions feel inevitable, that turned no into yes before you realized you'd been influenced. He'd been with enough women to know seduction, had played those games, set those boundaries, controlled exactly how far any relationship went and when it ended. He knew desire, manipulation, the dance of power and want. This wasn't that. This was something else, something that made his skin crawl even as his body registered her as attractive, available, interested. I'm interested in discussing the security arrangements for tonight. Lucan kept his voice professional, pulled up files on his computer, angling the screen away from her view, broke eye contact, broke whatever thread she was trying to spin between them. 500 guests, 3 security checkpoints, press coverage. I need your measurements for access credentials. How romantic! Vivian moved around the desk, closer now, the pressure in the air intensifying. Always so focused on logistics. Don't you ever think about anything else? I think about profit margins, territory rights, and quarterly projections. Lucan didn't look up from the screen. Keeps me busy. And lonely. She was beside his chair now, close enough that her perfume wrapped around him. Expensive, cloying, wrong in a way that made his wolf want to bite. I can feel it, Lucan. The loneliness, the need for... I'm not lonely. He met her eyes then, let his alpha presence rise, cold and controlled. I'm selective. The pressure in the air spiked. For a heartbeat, Vivian's eyes flashed, not wolf, not fox, something else, something darker. Then it was gone, and she was just a beautiful woman in an expensive dress, smiling like he'd said something charming. Selective. I like that. Her hand moved to the pendant at her throat, fingers caressing the silver. The moment she touched it, the pressure intensified, a weight pressing against Lucan's chest, his thoughts, trying to reshape his perception of her from dangerous to desirable. He stood, abruptly, putting the chair between them. You'll need clearance for the VIP section, photos for facial recognition, background check for, I'm already cleared. Vivian followed, not fast but inevitable, like water finding a crack. Your security team processed my credentials weeks ago when we signed the merger contract. Don't you remember? Her voice dropped, softer now, intimate. We've spent so much time together, Lucan. All those meetings, those dinners, those late nights reviewing contracts. Haven't you felt it? The connection between us? I've felt a productive business relationship. Lucan moved toward the window, putting furniture and distance between them. He'd navigated these situations before, ambitious women who saw an alpha position as the ultimate prize, who confused partnership with possession. He knew how to shut it down without being cruel, how to redirect without insulting. But those women hadn't been using magic, hadn't been killers wearing evidence around their necks, hadn't made the air itself feel heavy with compulsion. My assistant will send you the evening schedule, he said, voice even, controlled. Cocktails at 7, dinner at 8, speeches at 9. And after? Vivian closed the distance he'd created, 3 steps that felt like a chess move, cornering him against the window. What happens after the speeches, Lucan? The pressure was a vice now, squeezing, insistent. His wolf was snarling, fighting it, but his human mind felt the edges of his resistance softening, his walls cracking. She was close enough now that he could see the pendant glowing faintly, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. With effort, he met her eyes, held them. Let his alpha command bleed through his voice. You go home. I go home. We wake up tomorrow as official business partners and start the integration process. That's all. She was close enough to touch now, her hand rising toward his chest. That's all you want from tonight? He caught her wrist. Gentle but firm, stopped her hand 6 inches from his heart. The pressure shattered, like breaking through a spell, like surfacing from deep water, like his wolf finally clawing free of whatever magic had been wrapping around them both. Vivian's eyes widened. Surprise, then calculation, then something cold sliding into place. That's all the contract specifies, Lucan said, releasing her wrist. Was there something else you were expecting? Her smile faltered. Just for a second, the mask slipping, and beneath it he saw fury. Absolute glacial rage that someone had dared to refuse her, resist her, reject what she offered. Then it was back. The smile, the warmth, the performance. No, nothing else. She stepped back, finally, giving him space to breathe air that didn't taste like dark magic and expensive perfume. I'll see you tonight then, 7 o'clock. Don't be late. I'm never late. Lucan stayed by the window, watched her move toward the door, every instinct screaming that letting her leave was dangerous, that she was a threat he should neutralize now, that waiting was a mistake. But without proof, without evidence, without anything except a guinea pig's accusation and his mate's terror, he had to wait. No. Vivian paused with her hand on the door handle, looked back over her shoulder. Her smile was different now, sharper, colder, more real. You're not late. You're just oblivious. The door closed behind her. Lucan stayed at the window, hands gripping the sill, breathing through the aftermath of whatever magic she'd tried to work on him. His wolf was still snarling, still on edge, still screaming warnings about the woman who'd just left. The woman who'd tried to seduce him with more than just beauty and proximity. The woman who'd tried to compel him. His phone buzzed. Adam. Did she try anything? Lucan looked at his hands, steady now, no tremor, no sign of how close he'd come to letting her touch him, to letting whatever magic she wielded take root. Yes, he typed back, and it almost worked. What stopped it? Lucan thought about Ray, about her scent, her stubbornness, her refusal to accept help, about the mate bond that had been pulling at him for 5 years, waiting, patient, inevitable. My mate, he typed, even when she's not here, she's the only thing my wolf wants. Good. Keep it that way, because Vivian's not going to give up. Chapter 8. The ballroom was controlled perfection, crystal chandeliers casting golden light across marble floors, champagne towers sparkling like liquid architecture, 500 guests in formal wear worth more than most people's cars. Lucan's event team had outdone themselves. They always did. 500 people, the wealthiest, most influential wolves and shifters in the region. Business titans, pack alphas, council members, the kind of gathering that shaped politics and territory rights for the next decade. And Lucan only wanted to see one person. She wasn't here. Quite the turnout. Vivian appeared at his elbow, devastating in midnight blue silk, pendant at her throat, catching light like a warning. Your pack knows how to throw a party. My staff knows how to execute a vision. Lucan kept his hands in his pockets, maintained distance. They're excellent at what they do. As are you. Vivian's smile was warm, practiced, predatory. Speaking of which, the weather's been lovely this week. Perfect for large events. Yes, fortunate. They were talking about weather, actually discussing atmospheric conditions like strangers at a bus stop, not business partners about to announce a merger that would shift territorial power across 3 states. Shall we? Vivian gestured toward the stage where microphones waited. Lucan moved through the crowd, aware of eyes tracking him, conversations pausing, the weight of expectation pressing down like physical force. This was his territory, his pack, his reputation on the line. He took the stage, microphone in hand. The room quieted instantly. Thank you all for coming. His voice carried across marble and crystal, amplified and clear. Tonight marks a significant partnership between Silvercrest Industries and Cross Enterprises. This merger represents not just business growth, but community investment, specifically in programs supporting wolf shifter youth education, territory preservation, and pack resource allocation. Applause rippled through the crowd, polite, measured, exactly what was expected. Vivian joined him on stage, her smile radiant under the lights. Lucan's vision for community support aligns perfectly with my pack's values. Together, our combined resources will create opportunities for shifters across the Northern Territory. The Cross Pack is honored to join forces with Silvercrest. She turned to him, raised her champagne glass. To new beginnings. The crowd echoed. To new beginnings. Music swelled, live orchestra, probably costing more than a small wedding. Couples moved to the dance floor in practiced formation. Dance with me? Vivian's hand extended, expectant. Lucan took it because refusing would raise questions. Led her to the floor because anything else would be noted, discussed, dissected by 500 witnesses with excellent hearing and political instincts. They moved through the waltz, proper distance, perfect form, absolutely nothing personal about it. But Vivian's hand on his shoulder was too warm, her proximity too close, and that pressure was back. Magic trying to slip under his defenses like oil under a door. You're very good at this, Vivian murmured. I've had practice. At dancing? Or at keeping distance? Her eyes met his, pupils dilating slightly. You've been avoiding me all evening. I've been hosting. Lucan spun them through a turn, used the movement to create space. 500 guests require attention, and yet you keep looking at the doors. Her nails pressed into his shoulder, sharp enough to feel through his jacket. Expecting someone? Before he could answer, the song ended. Vivian stepped back, smile never wavering. I'll fetch us champagne. We should toast properly. Partners. She moved toward the bar with liquid grace, hips swaying deliberately. Lucan stayed at the floor's edge, scanning the crowd again. Nothing. No sign of Ray, no word from Paul, no... Vivian returned with 2 champagne flutes, bubbles rising like tiny warnings. She handed him one, kept the other, raised it between them with practiced elegance. To partnerships, she said, voice pitched for his ears only, and to futures we build together. To successful business ventures, Lucan corrected, lifting his glass. Vivian's smile tightened fractionally. Of course, business. She tilted her glass to her lips. He raised his, crystal rim almost touching his mouth. Achoo! The sneeze was massive, theatrical, completely impossible for something weighing less than 2 pounds. Lucan turned, clipboard perched on the ledge of a marble column just feet away, whiskers twitching, dark eyes fixed on the champagne glasses with laser focus. Did that guinea pig just... Someone in the crowd muttered. Clipboard sneezed again, this time with enough force that a visible droplet launched through the air and landed directly in Lucan's champagne with a tiny plink. The crowd gasped. Someone laughed nervously. Lucan looked at his glass, at the contaminated champagne, at Clipboard, who was now cleaning his nose with both paws like he'd just accomplished something remarkable. I appreciate the intervention, Clipboard, Lucan said, setting the glass carefully on the marble ledge. But we're not that close. Vivian's hand moved toward her pendant, fast, subtle, fingers touching silver. Clipboard sneezed again, massive, theatrical, Academy Award-worthy. The crowd's attention shifted entirely to the tiny drama unfolding on the marble column. Ladies and gentlemen, Clipboard's voice rang out, surprisingly loud for something so small. I apologize for the interruption. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Clipboard, Ph.D. in clinical psychology, earned through rigorous observation and field research, and I have a brief presentation on Paranormal Criminal Psychology 101. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Someone laughed. Someone else pulled out their phone, already recording. Specifically, Clipboard continued, now standing on his hind legs like a tiny furry professor addressing a lecture hall, I'd like to discuss wealth acquisition through homicide and its correlation with narcissistic personality disorder combined with sociopathic tendencies and a dash of megalomania for flavor. He pointed one paw directly at Vivian. "Exhibit A, the woman who—" "You stole my bracelet!" Vivian shrieked, composure cracking like glass. "My 5-generation heirloom from my ancestors. And as soon as I picked you up in Lucan's office, you pretended to pass out, created a distraction, and stole my jewelry. You're a thief!" She lunged toward Clipboard with supernatural speed. Lucan moved to intercept, but Vivian's strength was shocking. She pushed him aside like he weighed nothing, grabbed the champagne glass from the ledge, and hurled it at Clipboard, who was already scooting toward the far corner of the ledge. The glass shattered against marble, champagne, and crystal exploding across white stone. Clipboard was intact. He wiggled his tail triumphantly, turned, and, clear as day, flipped Vivian off with one tiny paw before continuing his escape. "Miss!" he called out cheerfully. Adam burst through the crowd, trying to hold Vivian back without success. "It's only a rodent, Vivian." "No one is talking to you, Beta!" She whirled on him, eyes blazing with something that wasn't entirely human. Fire seemed to dance behind her pupils. Clipboard ran along the ledge, and if Lucan wasn't mistaken, he was muttering, "This is going to go viral. So viral, documentary-level footage." Several phones were already filming. The crowd pressed closer, fascinated by the spectacle. What had shifter society become in this digital age? Lucan stayed out of frame and signaled Adam to do the same. Let this play out. Let Vivian show her true colors to 500 witnesses. Clipboard kept wiggling his tail and making rude gestures, sending Vivian into a rage-fueled chase. As he ran, he kept up a running commentary at impressive volume. Classic symptoms of narcissistic rage. Note the lack of impulse control, the disproportionate response to minor stimuli. Textbook presentation of someone who's murdered multiple pack alphas for territorial gain. I could write 12 papers on this behavioral pattern. It was quite a scene. "That's enough." Ray's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Lucan's heart stopped. Actually stopped for several beats. The crowd parted like water before a ship, and Ray walked through. No suppressants, no masks, no hiding. Her hair fell in dark auburn waves past her shoulders, catching light like living fire. Her eyes blazed amber gold, full wolf visible behind them, no chemicals to mute their power. The dress, midnight black silk that moved like water, elegant and deadly. The kind of thing that made every person in the room stop breathing. She was magnificent. She was a goddess walking among mortals. She was his mate, fully revealed, absolutely devastating. Lucan moved toward her, instinct overriding thought, needing to touch her, claim her, make sure she was real. Not yet. Ray's voice stopped him mid-step. Clear, strong, carrying across the silent ballroom. "I want to clear the floor of scum first." She walked past him, past the frozen crowd. Each step measured and deliberate, stopped 10 feet from Vivian. "Remember me, Vivian?" "No." Vivian's voice was ice, but something flickered behind her eyes. "Maybe not. We were just numbers to you, lives you destroyed to gain power. You and your rodent enjoy citing fictional stories in public?" Vivian smirked, but her hand trembled slightly at her throat. "This is a true story. Facts in the public database. Check for yourself if you know how to use a computer." Ray's voice was conversational, almost casual. There was a small pack, Eastern Boundary Territory, peaceful, prosperous, the Thorn Pack. We kept to ourselves, minded our own business, never caused problems for anyone. Vivian's expression was carved ice. Poetic, but we don't have time for novels. That small stretch of land sat on sacred ground, prime real estate for those who practice dark magic. "Is there an end to this story?" Vivian gestured widely to the crowd. "You all might find this entertaining, but I certainly don't." She started to walk away. Ray raised her voice, projecting across marble and crystal. "You have a vested interest in this because your empire is built on it. A syndicate now owns my pack's land. Guess who backs the syndicate?" Vivian's face turned pale, as much as pale skin with heavy makeup could show. "If you're accusing my family and my pack of anything, you'd better have hard evidence." "I do. The evidence that's kept you awake at night for the last 5 years. Ray took a step forward. Evidence will be presented to the council, and that comes with heavy sentencing. Your pack will be relinquished and banished because your foundation is built on others' blood. Pack politics and warfare aren't relinquishing offenses. Vivian's voice hardened. We fight with blood and sweat for what we own. Ray smiled. Poetic. But we don't have time for novels, do we? You're right, Vivian. Packs fight. All the time. But when you claim territories through manipulation, seduction, and the murder of alphas using dark magic, then it becomes unwolf. It's against our kind. And it is a relinquishing offense. Liar! Vivian's voice cracked across the ballroom. Good description of yourself. Ray's eyes blazed brighter. You gained my mother's trust. When my father turned down Crosspack's offer on the land, you tried to manipulate his mind using your famous potion. You shouldn't have been too stingy and paid for better mercenaries. Your man made a mistake, and my mother took the potion by accident. My sister was born premature because of that poisoning, and she's living proof of your potion's effects. You unwolfed a wolf shifter. What kind of sick magic was that? The crowd gasped, the sound rippling like thunder. Tears rolled down Ray's face, but her voice stayed steady. She's 5 years old, and every day she lives is a reminder of being a wolf shifter without having a wolf inside. A void, and it only gets worse as she ages. The pressure from the crowd intensified. Rage rolled through the ballroom like a physical force, so palpable it pushed Vivian backward until she hit a column. 5 years ago, I wasn't in charge. Vivian's voice rose, defensive. It might have been my pack, but I was only an Omega back then. I was nobody, and I don't do dark magic. It wasn't my doing. The crowd shifted, uncomfortable, sensing blood in the water. Then explain the pendant. Ray's voice was steel wrapped in silk. It's jewelry. Vivian's hand flew to her throat, fingers touching the silver. An heirloom. It's a curse anchor. Ray took another step closer. Dark magic artifact, the same symbol I saw on a mercenary the night my mother was killed. It proves nothing, Vivian growled, the sound inhuman. So you have nothing to do with the potion that killed 6 alphas and murdered my sister's wolf? Not only do I have nothing to do with that, I don't have to answer to you. And now, I'm leaving. Vivian turned on her heel. I'm Lyra Thorne. Ray's voice carried across the silent room like a bell. Alpha of the Thorn Pack. My father's pack was never formally dissolved. I claim that title by blood right. And as Alpha, I challenge you, Vivian Cross, for crimes against my family and against the 6 packs you've destroyed. Formal challenge, right here, right now. The crowd erupted in whispers. Pack challenges were sacred law, ancient and binding. Vivian laughed, sharp, cold, dismissive. I don't accept challenges from criminals living in shadows. You're not even a registered pack. You have no territory, no standing, no authority. You're nothing but... She has standing now. Lucan stepped forward, his wolf pushing to the surface. I claim her as my mate, if she'll accept me. My pack will be her pack. My resources will be hers. Vivian's laugh turned bitter. You can't do that, Lucan. You signed the merger. We have a contract. You can't give her access to anything even if you claim her as mate right now. Business and personal matters are separate. Didn't you remind me of that 200 times in the last few days? Your merger is null and void. Invalid. Clipboard's voice rang out from the marble ledge. I do not talk to rodents, Vivian snarled. This rodent has a PhD. There's a difference. And for the record, Clipboard drew himself up to his full height. In the last few days, you drugged Lucan multiple times. He signed the merger under the influence, which invalidates the entire contract. Also attempted murder. Don't forget the attempted murder part. You cannot make that up. Clipboard raised a tiny paw with professorial authority. My credentials might be pending official university approval, but I do have evidence for this case. Hard evidence. He tapped behind the marble column, pushing out a champagne glass with considerable effort. You broke the wrong evidence glass, lady. This is the one. with the drug you put in today. Had Lucan drunk this, he would have proposed to you right now and dragged you to the back room to make babies. Please excuse my snot in it. Unavoidable contamination during the rescue operation. But if you test the contents of this glass, minus the snot, that's dark magic potion. Should match whatever she's hiding in her pendant. She probably has a vial in her purse, too. I can confirm she did try to get me to drink that champagne, Lucan said, his voice carrying authority. Multiple times. Insistently. Vivian turned on her heel, heading for the exit with quick steps. This farce is over. My lawyers will be in contact about the slander. You're going nowhere, my lady. Paul's voice called out from the far end of the ballroom. Everyone turned. Next to Paul stood 3 surprise guests, Wolf Council members in formal robes of office. I invited the council here to witness decades of cross-pack killings and manipulation, Paul said, inviting evil magic into our community. This is a relinquishing pack offense, and we have documentation. Vivian bolted toward the door, supernatural speed making her blur. Let me. Ray's voice was quiet, but it cut through the chaos. Statement, not request. She launched forward, 3 running steps, left leg sweeping up, body spinning in midair for a perfect roundhouse double kick that connected with Vivian's jaw and sent her flipping backward. Vivian hit the marble floor hard enough to crack stone, unconscious before she stopped sliding. Ray landed magnificently, adjusting her dress with one hand, turned and smiled at Lucan. His heart stopped, started, stopped again. She was walking toward him, his soulmate, his mate, his everything, and the entire ballroom faded to background noise as she closed the distance between them. That was, Lucan's voice caught. Necessary, Ray finished. She stopped directly in front of him, amber gold eyes meeting his ice blue. I believe you said something about claiming me as your mate? If you'll have me, Lucan said, his wolf pushing forward, desperate, hopeful, terrified. I'll have you, Ray said simply. But first, she turned to address the room, her voice carrying with alpha authority. I need witnesses for the formal claim, and someone to take that woman into custody before she wakes up. The 3 council members moved forward immediately. The crowd erupted in cheers. And Clipboard, still perched on his marble column, pumped both tiny paws in the air and shouted, I told you so. Classic case study. Wait until I write this up. Peer-reviewed journals will be fighting over this. Adam appeared at Lucan's side, grinning. Your life just got very interesting, Alpha. It was always interesting, Lucan said, unable to take his eyes off Ray. I just finally caught up. Chapter 9. 2 hours after the ballroom. The Snow Play Center's fluorescent lights flickered as Ray pushed through the door, Lucan's hand warm in hers, Clipboard riding her shoulder like a tiny, furry general surveying conquered territory. Amanda looked up from the front desk, relief flooding her face. She's been asking for you every 5 minutes. I told her you'd come back, but where is she? Ray was already moving. Snowfort, where you left her. Ray ran, through the lobby, past the equipment rentals, into the play area where artificial snow covered everything in white that was too perfect, too clean. Nothing like the real world outside. Lily sat in the corner of the snow fort, knees pulled to her chest, small and alone and 5 years old. Her head snapped up when she heard footsteps. Their eyes met. Ray! Lily launched herself across the snow, crashed into Ray's arms with enough force to knock them both backward. Small hands fisted in Ray's dress, the beautiful black silk now torn and blood-stained, ruined beyond repair, and worth every thread. I'm here, sweetheart, I'm here. Ray held her sister tight, breathing in strawberry shampoo and fake snow and the scent of a child who'd been brave for too long. I came back. I promised I'd come back. You did. Lily's voice was muffled against Ray's shoulder. You really did. I always will. Ray pulled back enough to see Lily's face, to wipe away tears with trembling fingers. Every time, forever, you understand? Lily nodded, chin wobbling, then her eyes went wide. Clip! Present and accounted for, clipboard announced from Ray's shoulder, whiskers twitching. I apologize for the delay. I was conducting urgent field research. Very important. Life or death importance. Also, I may have bitten a serial killer on the ear, which was extremely satisfying from a therapeutic perspective. Lily plucked him off Ray's shoulder, held him to her chest, and burst into tears. Real tears this time, not the controlled, careful crying of a child who'd learned to be quiet. Loud, messy, 5-year-old sobs that echoed across artificial snow and made Ray's chest crack open all over again. "I thought you were lost," Lily hiccuped. "I thought you weren't coming back. I had important work," Clipboard said, unusually gentle. He nuzzled against her cheek, tiny paws patting her face. "But I would never abandon you, Lily. You're my primary patient. Also, you're the only person who draws me with a graduation cap, which shows excellent artistic judgment." Lily laughed through her tears. "You're a doctor. PhD in clinical psychology, earned through rigorous observation and several borrowed textbooks." Clipboard's chest puffed out. "And as your doctor, I'm diagnosing this situation as time to go home. Real home, not temporary home, not hiding home, forever home." Lily's eyes found Lucan, who'd stayed back, giving them space, but close enough. Watching, waiting. "Who's that?" Lily whispered. "That's Lucan," Ray said. She stopped, looked at him, at the man who'd claimed her in front of 500 witnesses, who'd stood beside her while she faced her mother's killer, who was looking at her sister like she was already precious to him. "Your mate," Lily finished very seriously. "Like in the stories Mom used to tell, about wolves who find each other and never let go." "Yes," Ray whispered, "like in the stories." Lily studied Lucan with the intense scrutiny only a 5-year-old could manage. "Are you going to take care of Ray? Because she's terrible at taking care of herself. She forgets to eat, and she has nightmares, and sometimes she cries in the shower when she thinks I can't hear." "Lily," Ray started. "I'll take care of her," Lucan said, voice steady. He crouched to Lily's level, meeting her eyes, amber gold like her sister's, like their mother's. "I promise. Every day. Forever." "Do you have a big house?" Lily asked. "Because we move a lot, every time the bad wolves come, and I'm tired of moving. I want to stay somewhere." "I have a very big house," Lucan said, "with room for you and Ray and a guinea pig with boundary issues. And you won't have to move again, ever, because the bad wolves are gone now." "All of them?" "All of them," Lucan confirmed. "Your sister made sure of that." Lily looked at Ray, then back at Lucan. Then, very deliberately, she walked over and placed her small hand in his. "Okay, but if you make Ray cry, I'm going to be very angry, and Clip will bite you." "Absolutely," Clipboard agreed. "Right on the ankle. Very painful. I've been practicing my technique." Lucan's lips twitched. "Understood. Also," Lily continued, "you have to let me have a puppy. A real puppy, not a wolf puppy. A regular puppy that doesn't turn into people." "Lily, we can't just—" Ray started. "She can have a puppy," Lucan said. "See?" Lily squeezed his hand. "I like him already." 3 days later. The penthouse apartment smelled like fresh paint and new beginnings. Ray stood in the doorway of what would be Lily's room, twice the size of their old apartment, windows overlooking the city, walls waiting for her sister's artwork to cover every inch. "She's going to destroy this place in the best way possible," Paul said from behind her. He'd stopped by to help unpack, brought Lucy and the kids, who were currently playing with Lily in the living room. A 5-year-old with this much space and no reason to be quiet anymore? Chaos. "Good chaos," Ray said quietly. "She deserves to be loud, to take up space, to finally stop hiding." "She does." Paul moved to stand beside her, looking at the empty room. "You both do." Ray's throat tightened. "Paul, I need to tell you something. About Lily." "The council doctors called me yesterday," Paul said. "I figured you knew by now." "You knew about her curse breaking, about her wolf coming back." Paul's voice was rough. "Yeah, They wanted permission to run tests since I've been her guardian on all the official paperwork. I told them to wait for you, but they said you'd already approved it. Ray nodded. Lucan took me to the council medical facility yesterday. They examined Lily while she thought she was just getting a regular checkup. Her voice cracked. With Vivian's pendant destroyed, the curse is unraveling, slowly. They think by the time Lily turns 6, maybe 7, her wolf will emerge. Like it should have 5 years ago. Paul pulled her into a hug, the same way he'd been doing for 5 years, steady and solid and safe. She's going to be okay, Ray. Your baby sister is going to be whole. Ray let herself cry against his shoulder, the same way she'd done a dozen times before when the weight got too heavy. I couldn't have done this without you. Any of it. You kept us alive. You gave us work, gave us purpose, gave Lily stability when everything else was chaos. You gave me purpose, Paul corrected, pulling back to look at her. After my military days, after I thought I was done protecting people, you two showed up in my office, desperate and terrified and trying so damn hard to be brave. You reminded me why I do this work, why it matters. He gripped her shoulders. Your family, Ray. You and Lily both. That doesn't change just because you've got a fancy penthouse and a billionaire mate now. Nothing changes, Ray said fiercely. You're still Uncle Paul. Lucy's still Aunt Lucy. Your kids are still Lily's best friends. This, she gestured at the expensive apartment, the new life, this just means we have more room for family dinners. Lucy will hold you to that, Paul warned. She's already planning a housewarming party. Something about christening the new kitchen properly. Tell her to bring whatever she wants. Ray smiled through tears. This place needs life, needs people, needs family. Paul's expression softened. Your mom would be proud of you. Everything you did, everything you've become. I hope so. Ray looked back at Lily's empty room. I tried to do what she would have done. Protect Lily. Keep us together. Make sure she grew up knowing she was loved. You did more than that. You gave her a childhood even while you were hunting a killer. You gave her happiness even while you were dying from suppressants. You gave her everything. Paul squeezed her shoulder once more. And now you get to give her a future. A real one. With her wolf, her pack, her family. Our family, Ray corrected. Our family, Paul agreed. They walked back to the living room where Lily was showing Lucy's kids her new room, clipboard riding on her shoulder like always, providing commentary that was probably too psychological for children, but made them all laugh anyway. Lucan stood in the kitchen, attempting to make coffee and clearly struggling with the fancy espresso machine that had come with the penthouse. It's supposed to be intuitive, he muttered. It's Italian, Adam called from the couch where he was scrolling through his phone. Nothing Italian is intuitive. It's passionate and complicated and requires a PhD to operate. I have a PhD, clipboard announced from Lily's shoulder. I can operate it. You're 4 inches tall, Adam said. Height discrimination. I'm reporting this to HR. You don't work here? Not yet, but I'm accepting applications for office space. Prime location, window preferred. Paul laughed, pulled Lucy close, watched their kids play with Lily like this was normal, like this had always been their life. And Ray realized it had been. For 5 years, Paul and Lucy had been their family, had given them stability and love and a reason to keep fighting. Now they just had more space to be together. Thank you, she said quietly to Paul, for everything, for being there, for never giving up on us. Never, Paul said simply. That's what family does. 1 week later, the mating ceremony. The clearing behind Silvercrest Estate was nothing like the ballroom. No crystal chandeliers, no champagne towers, no 500 witnesses in formal wear. Just pack, just family, just the people who mattered gathered under a full moon that turned everything silver and sacred. Lily stood beside Ray, holding her hand, wearing a white dress that Lucy had made specially. Paul stood on Ray's other side with Lucy, both of them looking proud enough to burst. Adam stood with Lucan, acting as witness, grinning like he'd personally orchestrated this moment. And Clipboard sat on Lily's shoulder, wearing a tiny bow tie that Lily had made him, looking extremely professional and only slightly smug. The pack shaman stepped forward, an elderly woman whose magic smelled like pine and moonlight and ancient things. We gather tonight to witness the bonding of two alphas, two packs, two souls who found each other across time and distance and impossible odds. She held out her hands. Lucan and Ray stepped forward, met in the middle of the circle. Lucan Silvercrest, the shaman said, Alpha of the Silvercrest pack, do you claim this woman as your mate? Your equal? Your partner in all things, now and forever? I do. Lucan's voice was steady, absolute. His eyes never left Ray's face. I claim Lyra Thorne as my mate, my equal, my everything. I will stand beside her in prosperity and hardship. I will honor her strength and cherish her vulnerabilities. I will protect what she loves and fight what threatens her peace. This I swear before Pack and Moon and all the spirits that bind us. The shaman turned to Ray. Lyra Thorne, Alpha of the Thorn Pack, do you claim this man as your mate? Your equal? Your partner in all things, now and forever? Ray's throat was tight. 5 years she'd hidden. 5 years she'd protected from a distance, loved from shadows, died slowly from an unclaimed bond. No more. I do. Her voice rang clear across the clearing. I claim Lucan Silvercrest as my mate, my equal, my home. I will stand beside him in all things. I will trust him with my fears and share with him my joys. I will build with him something that cannot be broken. This I swear before Pack and Moon and the memory of those I've lost. The shaman smiled. Then by the authority vested in me by the council of wolves, by the power of the moon above and the earth below, I bind you together, two alphas, two packs, one bond that cannot be severed by death or distance or time itself. She pressed their hands together. You may seal the bond. Lucan pulled Ray close and kissed her. The mate bond exploded between them, no longer dying, no longer suppressed, no longer hidden. It roared to life, bright and fierce and absolutely complete, binding them together in a way that made Ray gasp into Lucan's mouth. Finally, her wolf sang. Finally, finally, finally. Forever, his wolf answered. Forever, forever, forever. The pack howled. The sound rose to the moon, joyful and primal, and celebrating something that should have happened 5 years ago but was perfect right now. When they broke apart, Ray was crying and laughing and holding on to Lucan like he might disappear. We're stuck now, he murmured against her hair. No takebacks. You're mine forever. Good, Ray said, because I'm not letting you go. Ever. Even when you're annoying. Especially when I'm annoying, Lucan corrected. I'm adding this to my case study, Clipboard announced. Chapter 7, The Successful Resolution of 5 Years of Mutual Emotional Stupidity Through Therapeutic Intervention and Strategic Guinea Pig Placement. No one calls us emotionally stupid at our mating ceremony, Ray called out. I'm calling it scholarly analysis, Clipboard shot back. Very different. Also, I was instrumental to this happy ending and I deserve recognition. You bit someone's ear, Adam pointed out. Exactly. Therapeutic intervention. Keep up, Beta. Lily tugged on Ray's dress. Are you married now? Yes, Ray said, crouching to her sister's level. Lucan and I are mated, which means he's family now, forever. Does that mean I can call him Lucan? Or do I have to call him something else? Lily's nose scrunched up. Because Mr. Silvercrest feels too fancy. You can call him whatever you want, Lucan said, crouching beside Ray. As long as you know that I'm going to protect you and spoil you and probably let you get away with things your sister says you shouldn't. Lily's eyes lit up. Like the puppy? Like the puppy, Lucan confirmed. Which we're picking out next week. I love you, Lily declared and threw her arms around Lucan's neck. Ray watched her mate, hold her sister like she was precious, like she'd always been his, like there was no difference between claiming Ray and claiming everyone she loved. Thank you, she whispered. Lucan met her eyes over Lily's shoulder. For what? For seeing me, for waiting, for, her voice broke, for not running when you found out what I was, what I came with, what protecting me would cost. Ray. Lucan shifted, pulled both Ray and Lily into his arms, held them like they were the only things in the world that mattered. You didn't come with problems. You came with family, with love, with a future I didn't know I needed. He kissed her temple. I'm not running. I'm never running. You're stuck with me for the next 500 years. That's a long time, Lily said seriously. Not long enough, Lucan said. Paul appeared with Lucy and their kids, all of them grinning. Lucy made enough food to feed 3 packs. We're moving this party to the estate before she starts force-feeding people in the clearing. I do not force-feed, Lucy protested, but she was already herding children toward the estate. I enthusiastically encourage proper nutrition. She force-feeds, Paul said to Lucan. Fair warning. You're family now. You don't get to refuse her cooking. I wouldn't dare, Lucan said seriously. The party moved to the estate. Food appeared. Lucy had indeed been cooking for days, and Paul had clearly helped based on the military-level organization of the buffet. Music started. Someone had brought speakers and a playlist. Children ran through the halls, pack members mingled, laughter echoed off expensive marble. Ray stood on the balcony of Lucan's their bedroom, watching the city lights below, processing the fact that she could stay, that she didn't have to run, that this was home, arms wrapped around her from behind. Lucan's scent, his warmth, his solid presence. You're thinking too much, he murmured against her ear. I'm thinking just enough, Ray countered. She turned in his arms, looked up at him. 5 years ago, I watched my mother die. I ran with my sister. I lived in shadows and suppressants and terror. And now? Lucan asked. Now I have everything I never let myself hope for. Ray's hands found his face, traced the line of his jaw. I have my sister safe. My pack rebuilt, my mother's killer paying for what she did. The family I chose standing with me. Her voice dropped. I have you. You have me, Lucan confirmed. Every version of me. The billionaire alpha who lives in penthouses and runs corporations. The wolf who hunts under the moon. The man who's absolutely terrified of failing you. He caught her hands, brought them to his lips. All of it. All of me. Forever. Forever is a long time. Forever is barely enough. Lucan pulled her close until there was no space between them, until Ray could feel his heartbeat matching hers, until the mate bond hummed contentedly between them like a purr. I love you, Lyra Thorne. I love your strength and your stubbornness and the way you kick people who startle you in dark hallways. Ray laughed. I thought you were a threat. I was, Lucan said seriously. Just not the kind you expected. I was a threat to your carefully constructed walls, your emotional distance, your plan to die slowly from an unclaimed bond while protecting me from shadows. That was a terrible plan, Ray admitted. That was the worst plan I've ever heard, Clipboard's voice called from somewhere inside. And I've observed many terrible plans. This one was clinically fascinating in its complete disregard for basic psychological well-being. Are you spying on us? Ray called back. I'm observing for my longitudinal study on newly mated alphas. This is research. A pause. Also, Lily wants you downstairs. Something about cake and candles and making a wish. Lucan groaned. We've been married for 2 hours. Mated for 2 hours, Ray corrected. Wolves mate. Humans marry. Semantics. He kissed her, slow and deep and promising things for later, when the party ended and they were finally alone. Come on, let's go celebrate with our family. Our family. The words settled into Ray's chest, warm and right and absolutely true. They went downstairs hand in hand, found Lily holding a cake that Lucy had made, 3 tiers, covered in flowers, probably way too elaborate for a small mating ceremony, but perfect because Lucy never did anything halfway. Make a wish, Lily demanded. Ray looked around the room at Paul and Lucy, who'd kept her and Lily alive for 5 years. At their children, who'd given Lily friendship when she couldn't stay anywhere long enough to make real friends. At Adam, grinning like he'd won a bet. At Clipboard, perched on the cake table with a fork that was definitely too large for him. At Lucan beside her, solid and real and hers. At her pack, her family, her home. "I don't need to wish," Ray said. "I have everything I want right here." "Wish anyway," Lily insisted, "for good luck." So Ray closed her eyes, and she wished for what she already had to last forever. For her sister to grow up safe and strong and loved. For her wolf to return and make her whole. For Paul and Lucy to know how much they meant to her, to Lily, to everything they'd built together. For this moment, this perfect, impossible, hard-won moment, to never end. She opened her eyes, blew out the candles. The room erupted in cheers. And later, much later, when the guests had gone home and Lily was asleep in her new room and the penthouse was finally quiet, Ray lay in Lucan's arms and felt the mate bond purr between them. "Happy?" Lucan asked, fingers tracing patterns on her spine. "Deliriously," Ray admitted, terrifyingly, completely. "Good." He kissed the top of her head. "Because this is just the beginning. Tomorrow we integrate the packs. Next week we pick out that puppy. Next month we start planning pack territory expansion. Next year, Ray interrupted, we just live. We just exist. We just be happy and boring and completely, wonderfully ordinary." "Ordinary," Lucan repeated, tasting the word. "With you? Never gonna happen." "Then we'll be extraordinarily ordinary." "Deal." He pulled her closer, until there was no space between them, until Ray couldn't tell where she ended and he began. "I love you, Ray. My mate, my equal, my home." "I love you too," Ray whispered into the darkness. "Thank you for waiting, for seeing me, for claiming me, even when I came with chaos and danger and a guinea pig with boundary issues." "Thank you for letting me," Lucan said, "for trusting me, for giving me this family, this life, this absolutely ridiculous future I can't wait to live." They fell asleep tangled together, mate bond glowing softly in the darkness. Two alphas who'd found each other across 5 years of distance and fear and impossible odds. And in the morning, they'd wake up to Lily jumping on the bed, to Clipboard demanding premium pellets for breakfast, to Paul calling to check on them, to Adam arriving with 17 problems that needed alpha attention, to the reality of merging 2 packs and raising a child and building something that had seemed impossible a week ago. But for now, in the quiet darkness of their first night as mates, they simply held each other and breathed. Finally home, finally whole, finally complete. And that's the end of Kicking My Mate, a Love Story. Thank you for listening. If you loved Ray, Lucan, and Clipboard's chaos, please like, share, and comment below. Your engagement is what keeps these stories coming. Don't forget to grab Clipboard's bonus chapter, his PhD dissertation on how I saved 2 idiots from dying of mutual pining. It's free, it's hilarious, and the link is in the description. Want your story idea next? Comment below. I read every single one. And if you're wondering what happens to Adam, Lucan's beta who Clipboard has diagnosed with romantic avoidance, stay tuned. That disaster is coming soon. Until next time, this is DN Leo. Happy listening, and may your love stories be worth kicking someone for.